This is The Gorge. It's a podcast where my friends and I gorge ourselves on what's happening in the world of video games and entertainment.
The Gorge is brought to you by Patreon. That's patreon.com/thegorge, where for just $5 a month you gain access to not one, but two entire podcasts. $5 gets you Takeout, a monthly commentary track where Ben and myself, and sometimes Saturn and Oates, depending on whatever mood strikes them, sit down and we watch something and talk over it. And $2 is the grab bag tier. It's everything else. Whatever is not takeout goes into the grab bag tier. It can be bonus episodes. It can be dumb game shows. It can be prediction episodes. God knows.
I believe most recently it was us playing Stick Fight the game.
Yeah, and cackling for like 45 minutes, which was great.
It was a blast. Oh, God.
And the VOD of that is up on Patreon. So yeah, that's patreon.com/thegorge.
All right, so Saturn, what have you been up to?
Dog shit. Nothing. I think literally the only game I've played this week that wasn't, Warframe, which I'm not going to talk about that every week. It's Warframe. Was Stick Fight.
That's right.
And that was all of like maybe 80 minutes. Yeah. That's really been about it.
That's been about it.
Right.
How about you two?
How about FGO?
Yeah. That's something. I played FGO and I rolled for Bazit and I got 2 of her in the same 11 pull. That's it. That's my week.
All right. Well, congrats and also fuck you.
Yeah. Also fuck you. I got 1 Bazit.
That's okay.
I got a rock.
I guess I'll go next because mine's also quick. I didn't play anything, but I did start rewatching Twin Peaks for the first time since I was 17. And that show's good. I don't know why I didn't internalize any of it when I watched it when I was 17. Probably, I don't know, maybe because I was just like a dumb teenager watching Twin Peaks.
I was about to say probably because you were 17.
Yeah, probably. And yeah, I didn't internalize any of it. I knew the basic beats. I'm not going to spoil it because I know Ben talks about wanting to watch Twin Peaks at some point. But yeah, no, watching that show now as an adult, I'm like, fuck, this show's great. I mean, it is great and then it's not, is the thing. Mm-hmm. The first 16 episodes of Twin Peaks are great. And then it just kind of takes a nosedive. And allegedly it gets better after a certain point. So that's when, hopefully I'll get back to it tonight after we get done recording. And I can bravely stride into the last of the bad episodes and finally watch the good parts of season 2 of Twin Peaks.
I will make the pitch. Well, not that Ben needs a pitch, but the pitch for Ben and anyone listening to understand the thing. It has 16 episodes that are If Deadly Premonition was good, and then a painful 8-episode metamorphosis, at which point the rest of Twin Peaks is Alan Wake.
Yes. And it's just awful.
That's a bummer, because I really liked Alan Wake 2, and I like Deadly Premonition, so that's why I'm like, I should maybe also watch Twin Peaks.
You should still watch Twin Peaks.
Well, it's
100%.
Well, Ben, here's the explainer. And this is going to be very obliquely. There's a part where at the head of time, the person who is in charge of the network, ABC, one Bob Iger.
Bob Iger.
Oh, okay. So you can end your sentence there.
Yeah. Pointed a gun at David Lynch and Mark Frost's heads and made them and said, do this thing that you kind of wrote the show around not doing for the entire run of the show. Do it. 8 episodes into your 22 episode season, and they just go, well, fuck. What is the show about now? And David Lynch famously gets so pissed off about it, he basically just stopped showing up for work for 8 episodes.
That's right.
And there's a lot of cast drama. No one knows what the fuck they're doing, and eventually he comes back and is just sort of like, I've got an idea. We can wrap this up strong at least.
And maybe get a 3rd season, and and we can kind of right this ship. Unfortunately, it did not get a 3rd season until 2017.
Yeah, and then 15 years passed.
Oh, longer than
much
that.
Longer. It got a movie the year after.
Yes.
I believe. And the movie is like, the movie isn't a sequel either. The movie is like set beforehand. It's a prequel.
Right.
I believe it's 25 years later, we get the Showtime third season. That's like 18 episodes of just like completely unmedicated, barely filtered David Lynch.
Yeah, I know.
Awesome.
I can't wait to see it. So yeah, no, I have thoroughly enjoyed Twin Peaks, the parts where it's good. Those first 16 episodes, so like the first season is 8 episodes, and then the first 8 episodes of season 2. Those first 16 episodes are literally some of the best TV I've ever watched in my life. There's just so much like texture and willingness to be so straight. There's literally never been a show like Twin Peaks, and I can say that like with extreme confidence. There has never been a show. Twin Peaks burst prestige TV, but nothing has ever been able to recapture that. Ever. Like nothing can ever be as weird and dreamy, but like intense and funny all at the same time. And scary, like actually scary in a lot of parts.
Now I have to ask, and I know this probably is not a spoiler, but like, is Twin Peaks supernatural or are they just weird?
No, it's supernatural.
Ben, the answer to your question is Twin Peaks supernatural or are they just weird? The answer is yes.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a real better question. But yeah, like it is doing a lot of weird shit, and it's like, I don't know, like the question is how literal is it, right? Like how metaphorical is it? How literal is it? And it's really, really good. Like even though the thing that happens that makes season 2 like nosedive happens, it's still like that wrap up is still really good, right? Like that whole, like the reveal and everything around it is great. It just shouldn't have happened when it happened.
Right.
It should have happened at the end of season 2, but
instead of a third of the way into a gigantic season with no other idea of what the fuck they were supposed to do after that, just literally making it up episode by episode for a significant stretch.
It's amazing. And then the show, of course, takes like an extreme nosedive. And that, too, is fascinating in its own way because all of the cool, captivating shit of the first 16 episodes just flies straight out the fucking window. Like,
awesome.
The change is instant and like whiplash inducing. You go from the resolution of a huge plot point to just like soap opera stupid shit for 8 whole episodes, and you're just like, all right.
Soap opera stupid shit that just nakedly doesn't matter.
No, absolutely just doesn't matter to anything, which is really impressive. But yeah, no, great show. Fantastic show. I really like it. I want to someday do a rewatch of it where I just skip the middle stretch of season 2.
And see if it still makes sense.
Yeah. Like, see if I can still parse it.
You can do that when I start it.
Okay, sounds good.
The thing I said in the Discord chat before is that it is very much Evangelion for white people. The way it's a show that is like completely first of its type, first of its ideation, like just huge scene shift. But also, it's a thing that has so many knockoffs, and much like Evangelion, most of the things that knock it off don't actually understand why it works or what makes it good. It's just like, kitschy Pacific Northwest murder mystery with a bunch of weirdos, and not like getting it all into the heart of why that narrative is.
Right. It's all that surface tension aesthetic and not the actual core that makes the whole thing function.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like people, I was like, okay, here's the Evangelion knockoff that has like edgy kind of Judeo-Christian imagery and like biopunk mecha, and it's like, yeah, but like you have to have the things where it's like someone running out of money and nakedly working through their mental illness with a bunch of really ill-conceived characters in a way that somehow manages to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's exactly what Twin Peaks is. It's fantastic. I mean, it's genuinely like it's one of those things that you will find yourself thinking. There are specific scenes in season 1 and like the first half of season 2 that are like so scary, and it's not a horror show. It's like a murder mystery.
Mm-hmm.
But there are certain shots and certain moments that are so fucking scary that I like had to pause the show because I kept watching this fucking show at like 2 a.m. like an idiot.
Yeah, you mentioned that you started your marathon of the show
Yeah.
while medicated at 2 a.m.
Yeah, heavily medicated at 2 a.m. I literally went through the entire first season in a single night, which is a great way to boil your brain, by the way.
Yeah, that's 6 hours of psychopathic TV.
Yeah, that's correct. Just straight up, like, injecting pure psychopathy right into my eyeballs. And so there are parts in that were so, like, just, like, intensely anxiety-inducing. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's kind of like how you should never watch speaking of which, you should never watch all of Evangelion in a weekend. A thing I did.
I feel like you have to do that nowadays, not just because of the tone of things, but also because it does make it so much more obvious the way the show, like, starts to rot on the vine as it goes.
As it starts to, like, actively fall apart as you watch it, yeah.
Yeah, like, you can see Hideaki Anno, like, becoming more and more depressed and having less and less money.
Yeah.
The more you watch Anno go, on stage.
Yeah, no, that's like because like your mental state is also collapsing as you fucking shotgun all of Evangelion over the course of a weekend.
You can watch episode by episode as the Major turns from like a real character to Shinji's mother figure, who is like in a weird way sexually positioned against him as a character because it's like a Freudian depression thing. And it's like, damn, you just really lost the plot. I respect it.
Okay.
It's deranged. I hope you got the help you needed after this, bud.
Yeah, no, it owns. Same thing for Twin Peaks. I would maybe suggest starting it at like 10 o'clock at night while heavily medicated. I mean, why not? It certainly made a lot of those moments really just like knock me in the mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Twin Peaks is a show that, at least for the good parts of it, maybe not the soap opera plate spinning part as much, but at least for the good parts of it, the ideal way to watch it is in a state of chemically induced anxiety.
Correct. So it paid off, honestly. Great way to try and just like get through a night when you accidentally drank with your meds. Oops.
Oops.
Whoopsie.
Oopsie whoopsie. Yeah, no, that's like the only thing of note I can talk about. And I honestly could probably talk about Twin Peaks for like 6 hours. I mean, if I don't stop myself, I could just keep going, but I just don't want to spoil anything for you.
Right.
But like I could keep talking. There's so many, like I said, there's so many specific shots in certain bits that are just like, it's great. Please watch Twin Peaks.
I will.
So, okay. It's all on Paramount Plus. I can give you my login.
Awesome.
Except for the movie. You gotta find the movie on HBO Max because modern media is a hellscape.
Paramount Plus, if you're listening to this, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Twin Peaks, and the last thing about Twin Peaks, I guess, is it does feel like to me we need to have more things of someone going, we're going to try and greenlight a new series. We're going to pair the most like completely out there auteur filmmaker we can find who will actually be willing to do it with a guy who is actually just a really accomplished TV director.
Right.
Because that's all Frost and Lynch is Lynch is the weirdo film guy, and Mark Frost is the guy who knows how to make like TV shows for a sane person.
Right, exactly. It's the perfect combination. Like, and then you only write 4 songs for the entire soundtrack. And it all works for some reason. I don't know.
It all blends together perfectly.
Look, it's good enough for Deadly Premonition.
It's good enough for Deadly Premonition because it was good enough for Twin Peaks.
That's right, especially that one Deadly Premonition song that's just nakedly plagiarized from a Twin Peaks song.
Yeah!
No, but Swery has never watched Twin Peaks in his life.
No, definitely not.
No, he
Definitely
definitely he has never. How could you accuse him of plagiarizing Twin Peaks?
Definitely not, for sure.
It is definitely funny how much of that game, though. I talked about this a bit. Watching Grimbeard's video on the PS1 Japanese small town murder mystery game Mizurna Falls, how much he is actually stealing way more than that from Mizurna Falls, and then very clearly went, I need to differentiate this from Mizurna Falls. Let's add a little Twin Peaks so people don't notice how much I'm stealing from Mizurna Falls. And it didn't go that way at all.
Sarah, I have one final question about Twin Peaks for you.
Yeah, hit me.
Is Persona 4 Twin Peaks?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. There is so much like Twin Peaks in Persona. It's absurd. And I don't just mean Persona 4. The Velvet Room is just a Twin Peaks reference.
Oh yeah, and hey, you know why the Velvet Room is blue? Because David Lynch made a movie called Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, like Persona 4, and Persona 4 is the most explicit it gets. Like
Persona 4 is if you like literally like took the script for Twin Peaks, it's like, all right, I'm gonna condense this by making Dale Cooper not be an FBI agent, and instead his role is played by Bobby Briggs.
That's right. Absolutely.
And it's just like some fucking kid at the high school. Like that's it.
That's it. Like it's Persona 4 is also really fucking good.
Though to be fair, that is also Mizurna Falls.
Mizurna Falls, yeah.
Which makes you go, wait a minute, is every Japanese game that rips off Twin Peaks actually just ripping off Mizurna Falls?
Wait a minute. Does this mean that part 4 is also Twin Peaks?
Yes.
92
tangentially.
Diamond is Unbreakable was 92 to 95, and I'm looking it up now. Twin Peaks started in 1990.
If it's 92 to 95, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Amazing.
That was the point in time, I believe, in which it was going over there and people were going rip shit for it. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
So I suppose Persona 4 is actually more Diamond is Unbreakable, but I mean, like, the fucking Velvet Room is, like, right there. It's just, and even, like, your
Velvet Room has like a weird little guy in it.
Yeah, it's got like a weird fucking gnome man in it. That's in fucking Twin Peaks. Yeah, and a beautiful woman. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah.
Persona is just Twin Peaks. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
hey, Persona 6, just lean into it.
Oh god, just go for it even harder. Persona 5 was already just a Persona 4 remake. Just do that, but like more.
Persona 6 should be a weird pseudo like mirror version of the Phoenix Wright English localization. Where it's set in a small town in Washington, but everyone is inexplicably Japanese. Yeah.
Here's the thing. If they make a Persona 6 and the thing that immediately jumps to my mind to compare it to is Twin Peaks The Return, that is without question the greatest JRPG ever made.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if they make the AAA Twin Peaks The Return JRPG, that is the game of all time. There's no contest. You simply cannot compare.
Like the whole reason I'm really excited for The Return is because according to not just Saturn, but like multiple people on my timeline, Alan Wake 2 is just directly cribbing from The Return.
Well,
like
awesome.
Really hard.
Well, here's the thing, and it makes complete sense why, because like, development cycle, it makes sense why. Twin Peaks The Return came out now like 7 years ago.
Right.
2017, yeah. But the other thing is like, and for them it would have been like 5 or 6 years based on production times, whatever. But the thing is, the ultimate story about Alan Wake 2 is the bit where he disappears for like 10 years and comes back and the whole tone of the game is different.
Right. And then also the whole thing about, like, Alan... It totally makes sense for them to crib from The Return, because Alan Wake 1 is cribbing from the original run of Twin Peaks. Like, it even has a dumb, like, Twin Peaks knockoff show within a game. That's what Bright Falls is, like a Twin Peaks knockoff, and it's in Alan Wake.
Well, what it's doing specifically is, like, Bright Falls is like, oh, this is a Twilight Zone thing, because like it's our weird science fiction thing about how weird the show's getting, compared to Twin Peaks doing that exact same thing, but within the Mood for Love, which is just a parody of, like, really trashy 80s soap operas.
It owns. It's so good. So I'm really looking forward to The Return once I finish season 2 and the movie. Really looking forward to the movie. I know everybody says Fire Walk with Me is great. So,
Fire Walk with Me is going to be, if you watch Fire Walk with Me and you enjoy it, you are going to have your taste for what the entirety of Twin Peaks season 3 is like.
Great.
I gotta correct one thing though. You said that Bright Falls is a Twin Peaks knockoff, which the show in Alan Wake is called Night Springs.
Night Springs. That's right.
Bright Falls is the name of the town.
Yeah,
right.
But Bright Falls is still a knockoff of Twin Peaks because the name of the town is Twin Peaks.
Right.
Yeah, it's a description. It's a vague adjective and then a feature.
Yeah,
right.
So it still works when you say that Bright Falls is a knockoff of Twin Peaks, because yes, the fictional town of Bright Falls is a knockoff of the fictional town of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's like a quirky, there's like quirky cops and a quirky lady who works at a diner, and
you have a really naked analog for Bob.
Yeah, it's great. Anyways. We've talked about I knew this would happen. Like I said, I could talk about the show for 6 hours.
Looking forward to it whenever you finish it, and I also do my rewatch.
Yeah, that's right.
Please look forward to the Twin Peaks-a-thon in, like, October.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. But that's it. That's, like, the only thing of note that I really have to talk about.
I've only done one thing this whole week, and that is play the hell out of Infinite Wealth.
That's correct.
Hawaiian Vacation.
It is easily, just like a Dragon was, Infinite Wealth is one of the best JRPGs I've ever played. I mentioned, we talked last week that I still think it is the antithesis of FF16, and the idea that you can't have fun in a JRPG because it needs a serious tone is bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the entire Like a Dragon franchise is about threading the needle between the wackiest shit you've ever seen and just gut-wrenching, fully animated cutscenes of people in business suits being very sad.
Right.
Just phenomenal. I got to the part where Kiryu actually does go back to Japan. And so the game kind of splits chapter by chapter into Kiryu in Yokohama and Ichiban in Hawaii. And they split the party evenly between them two. And it's really cool in how well they balance it, because like right when you're getting kind of antsy for the other character, the chapter ends and it's time to switch over. Because like obviously Kiryu can't do any of the Animal Crossing stuff or any of the other like Ichiban Hawaii exclusive like quests and whatnot, but he's got his own slew of stuff that he can do. Like one of the cool things is that instead of having like the sub story, like the side quests, like the traditional thing where it's like you walk up to a guy and you get roped into a weird little adventure. Kiryu walks around Yokohama and he starts remembering things that have happened on his journeys, because things will like remind him of like incidents in his past.
Yeah. And
it'll just be like, hey, remember when this character showed up in this game? And you get like a little cool like quick vignette of Kiryu talking about like something that happened in one of the previous Yakuza games.
Well, that's fun.
And you also do a thing where you run into one of the characters from Yakuza 1, a detective named Date, and he's like roping Kiryu into checking in on the people who were important to him. So it's like because Kiryu is supposed to be dead. Like you see, he faked his death at the end of Yakuza 6, and no one is supposed to know he's alive.
Right.
So, and since he's actually about to die,
yes,
Date's like, hey man, you gotta go check up on your kids. You gotta at least go and see that they're doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like a really cool scene where like the first one is you go and you run into one of the orphans from the orphanage at Kiryu ran, and he's all grown up now, and he's in a cabaret and he sticks up because like another patron like starts getting surly and tries to take a swing at one of the girls there, and the kid stands up for her and like takes a couple punches just like Kiryu would have done. And it's like this really like sweet moment of like, oh man, like Date talks to him afterward and he's like, all I think every day is just what would Kiryu do? What would Uncle Kaz do in this situation? And I do that. And he's like, Date's like, yeah man, see, like you gotta go see these kids.
Right, you gotta go check on your kids.
That to me is the most like thing that is like what sells the most of like, bringing back Kiryu as the deuteragonist, which is just like this guy who's already had his time in the sun. Like he has a fucking game series that spans like 7 entries and covers his entire adult life. Yeah, like completely insane. But then having the thing that is effectively like even probably more so than Gaiden, his like actual epilogue game, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's him going back and the bang on consequences of everything he's ever done coming home to roost.
Right.
And him actually going like, yeah, I did raise those kids. I wonder how they're doing.
Yeah.
And then like meeting these people who are obviously like full-fledged people living in the world, and it's like they would not be this person if he wasn't there. And it's like it's a cool way to like make this thing that's like, for all I know, like I don't know where the fucking game goes. I don't actually know anything about Infinite Wealth, but could very well, for all I know, be the last game that Kiryu is in.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I really don't know where Kiryu is going to go at the end of this, because the whole point, like the whole like way the justification for doing like side quests as Kiryu and like going to like play mini games and whatnot is that Nanba and Psycho and the other members of the party are, for one, trying to get him to actually relax.
Right.
Because he's been so tightly wound this whole time that he like he's not just like physically, but like he like mentally looks exhausted all the time. Right. So they're like, yeah, man, we're going to go to the batting cages. We're going to throw some darts. We're going to walk around the city. And like, you're already looking better by doing this. Like you already like look a whole lot healthier. And the other reason is that Nanba, who has kind of like taken on the role of being Kiryu's caretaker because he was a former nurse. Like their whole social links is about Nanba slapping every alcoholic drink out of Kiryu's hand. He's like, dude, you're sick. You cannot do that.
I don't know. I think if I had cancer and it's just like, I'm going to die, it's like, you better give me that shot or you're going to lose that hand.
But the whole thing is that Nanba is trying to be like, yeah, if we keep making him do like a bunch of fun stuff and like cross things off his bucket list, he's actually going to want to fight and get treatment.
Right.
Because they've been trying to like insist on it, but he's Kiryu. He's going to push away from it. You know?
Sure, yeah, of course.
He's got that. So he's got that mindset where the correct thing to do when you're sick and old and are kind of past the prime of your life is to just sort of disappear into the woods one morning and never be seen again.
Yeah, right, exactly. And Nanba's trying to like subtly hint at him to like he's got to trick Kiryu into thinking it's his idea.
Yeah, exactly.
To be like
an old dog.
Yeah, like, hey, you know, there are still options. You can get treatment, and we can see if we can get this taken care of.
I do genuinely hope that this ends up resulting in a Yakuza franchise where, like, Not to say I don't want Ichiban Kasuga to be like the new series protagonist. I love that dude. However, it would be extremely funny if their commitment to Kazuma Kiryu continuing to be the protagonist is that he does continue to just get older, and they never back down from that. But the longer the series goes on, the more they have to like go through hoops to justify why this 110-year-old man is still beating people's asses.
This little old Japanese man still kicking your ass. Absolutely.
At some point, he just turns into Master Roshi.
Yeah, exactly. Just bald with a big old like beard and shit. Yeah. Always wearing sunglasses.
But no, yeah, it is. It's absolutely incredible. Doing all of the side quests and whatnot are great. I just did one yesterday where Ichiban runs into an otaku filmmaker who has a late night show where he goes around Hawaii and he interviews and follows around Japanese tourists. And he sets up this thing where it's like, all right, Ichiban, we've laid out 3 meals for you, and you got to pick which one you want the most. And it's like a plate of like fresh grilled mahi-mahi, a plate of like Kahlua pig, and then some cold white rice and millet. And if you choose like the mahi-mahi, they get all bummed out because it's like, no, dude, you're supposed to be a samurai. You're supposed to eat the traditional Japanese meal, cold rice and millet. And it's like, why is this game making me watch Ichiban experience microaggression?
I'm sorry, there's no way in hell Ichiban would... Like, that's just not in character. Like, the correct answer is to pick the mahi-mahi and watch everyone be racist against Ichiban.
Well, no,
the mahi-mahi.
That's the funny thing is you do that one and you pick the good food, and then Ichiban's like, oh, I get it. I get what they're trying to do. And then later on it starts raining, so they offer him like a modern umbrella or the big straw like mask, like the big hat they used to wear. And Ichiban's like, okay, I get it.
That's great.
See.
Like the quest ends with like you like defending the director from like his bully from film school who calls him a weeb and all that. And then Ichiban's like, yeah, man, it's cool that you love Japan, but maybe like broaden your horizons on what Japanese culture is a little bit.
Just a little bit more, yeah.
Is that the one where the quest NPC is like this lame ass white dude?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's just this lame ass white dude. I think his name is Ethan.
Because I remember seeing that, and it's my favorite thing is that in the Japanese dub, he does use Boku, which is just great. I love seeing people just go like, yeah, we need more lame ass white guys in Japanese media to use Boku on.
Yeah, that's right.
It was just like I was just cracking up the whole time where he's just like, come on, man, you can't do this to me.
Yeah, because Ichiban's nice. He's just like, come on, man.
He is a very nice man. He's also very stupid, but he's definitely aware of the situation.
Correct.
Like he understands what's actually happening in any given situation. he just is really good at rolling with it. Like, and it's funny because Ichiban is like defending him from like his bully, and he's like, "Hey, man, there's nothing wrong with like really, really liking Japanese media if you're American. Anyway, Persona 3 Reload out today in stores."
Just looking directly into the camera, like, please buy even more Japanese media as an American.
It is so insane that Sega released those games so close to each other.
It's so insane to the point that like I'm surprised there is not Reload music in Infinite Wealth, because there's
like the new Mass Destruction.
Yeah, there's Persona 4 music and Persona 5 music, but no Persona 3 music.
What?
Which is weird.
That's insane.
That like unless they did rearranges for P3 Reload, I have no idea why that would be the case. That's you know what? I guess what it probably is they probably, even if it's just like newer masters or whatever, they probably didn't want people's first access to the newer masters of the P3 songs to be from not P3.
Because you still should put in the old versions of MP3 songs, put the original Mass Destruction in.
You know what? You should just put the songs from Persona 3 Portable in, because you're not putting the fucking girl route and reload anyway.
That's right, you fuckers.
Could you imagine if we got a Yakuza 8 like inter remake that has a third route where it's just you play as one of the girl characters and it has like a completely different story?
God, I wish. That'd be great.
You find out what Eri was doing throughout Yakuza 8.
Yeah, it turns out she's not a hallucination that he had about fixing a business. She's like a real person.
So here's the crazy thing: walking around Yokohama, I went to the spot where Ichiban Confectionaries is, and there's NPCs talking about how good Ichiban Confectionaries is. So apparently Ichiban just sold the company to Eri and walked away.
Oh no!
And he probably
that
shouldn't
actually
have done
makes
that.
sense. That actually makes sense. That sounds like him. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. It was a confectionery. Like, for some reason, I was like, "Oh, it's a real estate place." But I realized I'm just confusing it with the one from Yakuza 0, where it's a real estate company.
Yeah.
You know, in Yakuza 7, it's Ichiban Holdings, and they started off as a confectionery place. They sold like rice cakes and stuff.
That's so funny.
But no, yeah, absolutely great game. I'm about 2/3 of the way through.
All right, you're close.
Yeah, shit just hit the fan in a very big way. So like it feels very, very end of Act 2.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. I just got to I got to the Tartarus in Yokohama with Kiryu.
Great.
I told you guys in chat that there's just a roguelike dungeon crawler, like a randomly generated map dungeon thing that just feels like a Persona 3 or Persona 4 dungeon.
Right.
There's one in Hawaii and there's one in Japan.
Great.
Stellar.
Video game that's made to be played forever.
I heard not only is there Pokemon, and not only is the Pokemon like a main story required to do at least some of it, I heard this game also has Pokemon Snap in it.
It does. It has the Sujimon, which I talked about, the
suspicious jitters.
Yes, the suspicious jitters you get. There is in fact Pokemon Snap called Sicko Snap.
Catch me on Snicko Snap. That's where you're gonna find me.
Where you work with a photographer who is trying to take pictures of these weird masked guys that are crawling all over Hawaii. So you ride the trolleys around the city.
Okay.
And take pictures of them to send to the police so that they can arrest them.
Do you like throw apples at them to get them to come closer?
Maybe. I only did like one route of it so far. So I don't know if you unlock more stuff with it, but like it is just like just rudimentary, like just like get them in frame and take a picture of them.
This does just again make me believe that the route to make the ultimate art JRPG is to make the Gintama JRPG that just spoofs whatever the fuck it wants and makes the super god game.
That's correct.
The Sujimon thing though is very funny because it's like the one thing in the world that Ichiban is not enthusiastic about.
It's not his preferred type of RPG. I heard that you are tasked at some point with going to fight the Discreet Four.
Yes, the Discreet Four. when you go fight the first one, you're like all your Sujimon are like really hyped up to fight this guy, and he's like, "Well, I've come this far, so I guess we'll just get this out of the way."
I think it's very funny that Ichiban is not a Pokemon guy. Like, of course he's not. He's a Dragon Quest guy.
He's a Dragon Quest guy, for sure.
Right.
He's like I don't want to be friends with the slime. I want to beat the slime's ass so I get levels.
Oh my god.
It is great. You can also there's a good crossover of sending your Sujimon to do various tasks around the Animal Crossing island. Like the automation of like gathering trash or like building things. Like
this is the second game this year that is doing a Pokemon thing better than Pokemon.
I was gonna say it sounds like what we're describing is there's a bit where it turns into Pal World.
Yeah, like the thing about Pal World and now this is that if there was an actual Pokemon game where like you had like a base building element and you had your Pokemon, like you sent them to like shack build for you and do like farming and stuff for you while you were out catching other Pokemon, I would buy that. I would buy 20 copies of that.
You know why that doesn't exist though? And this is
too much work.
Well,
There's not enough time.
Well, hey, too much work, not enough time. Yeah, the Pokemon Company is fucking worked to the bone. However, there's no way you could make that game run on a Switch.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, Switch 2.
Well,
Now's your time to shine.
Well, God, if they announce like fucking Pokemon Build or whatever for Switch 2, it's so over for literally everyone else.
Listen. Infinite Wealth can run on the PS4. So if the Switch 2 is a PS4, then it can run this game.
Yeah, that's a good point. It'd be really funny to have Yakuza Infinite Wealth on the Switch too.
Yeah.
God, I hope.
I hope.
But yeah, no, I'm absolutely adoring it. And one final thing is so there the entire cast of Y7 returns, right?
Right.
As playable party members, but like the last two, Junghee Han and Zhao, show up very, very late in Infinite Wealth. And they were kind of, not the focus in Lad 7, so it was like, it would be understandable if they got cut out, right? Because like they don't get the promotion that like Adachi and Nanba and Psycho get.
Sure.
So when they do show up, Junghee Han is kind of like really self-conscious about being left out of things.
Aww.
Like they show up to offer their help, and like they're gonna go like Kiryu is gonna go meet up with some other guys from the Tojo, from like the new Tojo clan and whatnot, like hash things out with them, or not the Tojo clan, the other one, but like go get things situated. And like Zhao is like, hey, I'll go with you to give you some extra muscle. And then it pans over to Junghee Han being like, must be really great being included in things.
Great.
Isn't Zhao the one who looks kind of like if Goro Majima was in a K-pop band? Yeah,
he's the Chinese Goro, basically.
I love him. He's my favorite character from the first game.
He's so cool.
He is, in a lot of ways, he is a Saturn PC, is I think why I'm like, because he is the kind of non-binary catty one.
I see.
He left his clan behind and runs a Chinese restaurant now.
He left his family behind.
Like he retired from running them, and he's like, I'm gonna let Sunheat handle things, and I'm just gonna run my restaurant.
I'm just going to be that guy who makes the videos where he fucking prepares a good-ass soup in his nasty-ass bedroom.
So yeah, I'm very excited to keep playing that. We got some news, though.
Give us some news.
This is going to be a fun news. This is going to be a fun news week.
It's always weird when I do these like weekly, because like I have to gather like a bunch of articles in like a much shorter time frame.
Sure.
But this was a good week for it.
Yeah, this is a good week for it. Even there's not like that many things on the docket. There's a lot to talk about on the docket.
We got that state of play.
That state of play.
I was like, do we want to mention before that the thing that basically came in the day after we finished last week's?
Yeah. The day after is the Fate Stay Night thing.
Yeah, that's on the list here too. So yeah, we can just get that out of the way real quick.
After 20 years, they're finally doing a global release for Rialta Nua in English.
It is. I joked a lot during the MiHoYo initial push, please buy Witch on the Holy Night for the PlayStation 4 and Switch and now PC, thank God. Please buy Witch on the Holy Night because maybe we'll get Tsukiri and Fate Stay Night. I never thought that's what would happen.
But it's what happened.
But that's exactly what happened, as it turned out.
I don't
because MiHoYo sold so well, I literally think that's why we got Tsukiri and Fate Stay Night for the first time in 20 years.
I'm going to make the argument just for game production schedules. I think the MiHoYo thing is the confirmation that it was a good idea.
Sure.
Because MiHoYo, I bought that on PS4 at launch, and I bought it on Steam at launch because I have at this point got rid of my PS5. But a thing Sarah posted is that in the Steam charts, it was in the top 20 of video game sales in Steam in December.
That's cool.
This full priced linear visual novel, right? But the other thing, and this is a thing that I don't think I've ever had the chance to mention on here, but I've talked about with other people before, is that when Samrem came out,
Yes.
It sold something like, I forget the exact number, but let's say like first month sales was something like 400,000 units, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, normally, for FGO, 80% of FGO's revenue comes from Japan, and like 20% is global, and like, I think of the 100% pie, maybe like at most 4 or 5% is the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
For Fate Samurai Remnant, less than a quarter of its sales were domestic, and over 3/4 were global.
Yeah, it's crazy. Everybody just really wanted Samurai Remnant. That game did great as well. Like moving 500,000 units for a B tier ish like action anime game, right? Like those are big numbers.
Yeah.
That covers the production budget of that game almost certainly, right?
Like Bob Video Games has been I don't think Bob Video Games likes it that much because he's not
he has
like
bad taste.
Yeah, but like he's playing that. He bought it and is playing it. I know this guy, this artist I follow named Artyom Trakanov, I believe. Maybe not Artyom Trakanov, I forget. But he was playing it in January. I don't know if he actually finished it, but it's like that's not a guy who plays Fate.
Yeah.
I've never known him to play Fate. I found out it is his introduction to the series.
Insane way to get introduced to it. But that's fine. Listen, anything can be a springboard.
Look, I'll be real though. Aside from like them having to do the thing in the very beginning where they make some sort of oblique reference to Miyamoto Musashi, where she goes, "Hey, what's up? I'm Miyamoto Musashi. My deal's weird. If you know, you know. If you don't worry about it."
Yeah, exactly.
Aside from that, it is in a lot of ways just a really competently done remix of Fate Stay Night.
Yeah, that's true.
It feels like a more fully fleshed out, like accessible entry point than basically anything else Fate has had as an entry point in recent memory, except for
Fate
the
Stay Night itself.
Yeah, except for the VN that's going to be released in English this year.
Finally.
I saw it being celebrated with an edit of that one old 4chan post that was Sakura's love, Sakura's life, and then the response of Rins being like, "Sure, OP," and then it was Kiritsuku saying, "You cunts have been doing this for 20 years." 20 years!
That's correct.
Yeah, that's correct. No, it's finally... But, like, it's just weird. Because, like, I haven't been a Fate fan for as long as other people I know, like other people in the Discord and stuff like that. Like, I haven't been a Fate fan for as long as them, but I've been a Fate fan for a pretty long time. Like, in the grand scheme of things, I got into it back during the initial release of UBW, so that was back in 2015 now, right?
Yeah.
It's almost 10 years.
And in that 10 years, Fate Stay Night has not been officially playable in English at that point for already 10 years.
Already 10 years. And the thing is that after a certain point, basically everybody who was into Fate had accepted that it was never going to get an English release because the official, like the official fan release is so ubiquitous and so easy to acquire that, like, it was just kind of a given. You could just Google Fate Stay Night and find a Fate Stay Night to read, right?
Also, so, if you really, really wanted to just get like a baseline experience of it, the Dean anime existed back then.
Yeah, but that's not like a good...
Well, here's the thing. Like, I have an extremely recent Fate thing. Like, I only started getting into Fate like less than 2 years ago.
Right.
Like literally, I think, Sarah, before I visited you in 2022, was like, I had just started FGO, and then we watched UBW while I was visiting, right? Mm-hmm. The instant they were like, yeah, we're putting out this thing called Mihoyo in English, I'm like, oh, they're doing it.
They're doing it.
Because it's like, who the fuck cares about Mihoyo unless you're literally doing that as like a way, as to like get your production cycle set up for the extremely more difficult things of doing Tsukihime and then doing Fate Stay Night.
Right.
They're doing the Capcom stress test.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're doing a literal stress test. And the thing is that, like, the reason this is like a huge deal for a lot of people who have been Fate fans for a really long time is that it was just a given. Fate Stay Night was never going to get an official release. It's too easy to get for free in English with a really good dub and all of the porn, right? Because like the one that's going to be on Steam is not going to have the porn. Mind you, the porn is bad, but like you kind of need it for Heaven's Feel.
Yeah, also, but for what it's worth, at least the one on Steam, very easy to add in that porn, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's going to be a day one edition from fans, yeah.
They're not putting that on Switch, though.
Well, don't play it on Switch, play it on Steam.
Play on Steam.
Get a Steam Deck.
Yeah, get a Steam Deck.
See the words boiled pussy on your Steam Deck.
It's so I just like, to me it's just so weird. I never thought that we'd actually get an official Tsukihime remake, like English version, and now we're also getting Fate Stay Night officially on Steam. I'm gonna be able to spend $30 on Fate Stay Night, and I'm going to because I'm fucking stupid. Even though there are so many free versions of it available, I'm still gonna buy it.
Sarah, that it's definitely gonna be 60. I promise you. I'm confident it's going to be 60.
You know what? I'm stupid. I'm
also stupid. I'm buying that for 60. I don't give a fuck. I'm really stupid.
I don't give a fuck. I'll buy it for 60. I want them to to take this as a sign to just anytime fucking new Type Moon shit comes out, they're like, fine, fuck it, we'll just put it in America too.
Well, yeah, because that's part of the insane success of Fate Samurai Remnant is that was a simultaneous global release.
Right.
And so everyone is able to get in on the ground floor at the same time. And it turns out there's lots of people who don't speak Japanese who think that game's cool.
It's amazing.
This is again, like, it's just such a miracle because this is the guy who famously was once asked when we were going to get extra CCC in English, and his response was that he wasn't aware it hadn't been localized.
Yeah. So now all that's really left in terms of currently of Fate, like big want releases, like things that people really want, is really all that's left. It's obviously the rest of the fucking Fate Grand Order story, which is never happening at the rate things are going. And also the Fate Extra remake, which is still has been kind of quiet for the last couple of months.
Also, if that Strange Fake anime could just keep getting made.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I just had a realization.
What's that?
We are going to be able to do a best Fate release category for the second year running.
I know! Isn't that crazy?
Because we're getting Tsukihime in summer. They've nominally said they're intending to get Fate Stay Night out this year too. We'll see if they actually stick to that when they announce a date, but we're nominally getting that. I feel like they could stealth announce, like, next season the thing, like, because we already know they're making Strange Fake anime. Right. They could just go like, yeah, by the way, this is starting next season, and then we'd have Strange Fake.
Right. I know that they say that. I know that, like, the thing that everybody always says is that the Strange Fake anime won't actually get made for real until the light novels are done. And
that's not happening.
That's not happening. No. No.
I think the only thing that guy loves more than writing light novels is not writing light novels.
He's not finishing his light novel series, because he also hasn't put out a Bakano in a while either, and that series isn't done.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. Yeah, there's not been one of those in like 8 years.
Yeah, don't worry about it. He's been too busy making all that Fate money, and now he's like, well,
yeah, he's also
all my money from Fate.
He's been too busy making all that Fate money, not putting out new Fate releases.
Yeah, that's great.
He's pulling an Aaron Hansen.
Pretty much. Like, but yeah, no. It's just weird. Like, I think about it, like, I'll literally just be going through my day and think, like, oh, Fate Stay Night is coming out in English this year.
Yeah.
Officially. Like, I know you can literally go download it right now. I think I actually have a copy of Fate Stay Night on my computer now.
I do as well.
Yeah. But I'm still gonna buy it like a fucking stoop. Because
I'm gonna wait to play it until we get the official one, because that will be the version that is the one that they say is the correct way to experience Fate Stay Night. And I want to know what that's like without having any advanced expectations.
Right. And I also want, like, did they call it a remaster, Ben? In the news article, does it say anything? Is it just like a proper remaster. English?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm wondering if that means, like, new art. I know it won't be like a remake the way that Tsukihime is, like a straight up rewriting of
the art does not look like it's remade.
Sure.
It just looks like it's just probably upscale to
Right.
That's probably realistic because because I think especially because it is Real Tanua.
Right.
It's probably just because also like Mihoyo was like, even though like that just for us just came out thing, like that was a remake from like 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So like that art was technically is also like 10 years old at that point.
That's a good point.
So
That's
like they're probably just gonna like fucking waifu.
That's fine by me. That's fine by me. But I'm just kind of like, maybe they might do like re-recording of the music, which would be cool. No matter what, I'm gonna buy it and I'm just gonna read it that way. But yeah, no, fucking Fate's Day Night official English release.
It would be really cool if we had some things that's like, this is remade art, but they didn't get a new artist or like a better artist. It's just Takeuchi 20 years later.
God, I wish. His art is so much better now.
Yeah, like, extremely. But it's still like recognizably Takeuchi's art, but it is like definitely like way more.
His anatomy and just his sense of proportions and stuff are just significantly improved. Like his sense of motion and all of that. It's just much better. And I mean, like, I still think the art in Stay Night is really good. It's just, obviously there's 20 years of progress between Stay Night and for example, the posters he drew for each of the Heaven's Feel movies, right?
Right.
Because those are direct analogs. The difference between those two is crazy. Just the amount of improvement that's happened over the course of 20 years. It's so weird. All that's left, and honestly, it could probably happen because it had a PSP release. But at this point, there's Mihoyo, the Tsukihime remake is coming out. You can watch all of those Kara no Kyokai movies, and that they are, by all accounts, pretty good translation of the novels that those are based off of. And Fate's Day Night is coming out. So the big Type Moon releases are all available or going to be available very soon. All that's left is Hollow Atarasha. Right?
Yeah, I feel like if we get that at all, is going to be extremely contingent on like, hey, did the Fate's Day Night re-release? How much free money did it print?
Yeah, exactly. So
it might be variable on the amount of zeros that are on that free money,
right.
Whether it's like 12 free zeros or 13 free zeros,
right? Yeah, but it does have a PSP release, like, so it also took out a lot of its porn. So it's totally possible to get that as well, and then you would just have access to pretty much every bit of Type Moon stuff in English, except for crazy supplemental material and stuff like that. So
they never will, but they could make again so much free money off of people who already know in advance it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
If they're like, here's the $20 DLC that re-enables porn in the video game.
Yeah, I'd buy it.
You have to send us like photo ID proof we're required, but like we'll send you a code for it on Steam.
Yeah. Oh god.
Okay.
Fate's Day Night.
Fate's Day Night. It's coming out.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Anyway, the state of play.
Okay.
Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Was there anything else at that fucking state of play?
There was a lot. There was a lot.
We got a release date for Green Bayonetta.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We did get a pretty good look at Stellar Blade.
Do you know what I learned about that game?
Well, the trepidation in your voice increases my fear to maximum. Please tell me.
I'm so excited. I'm gonna buy this game. I mean, I know it's only on PS5, but I hope it eventually gets a PC release, like all PS5 games. That game is made by the people who made Nikkei. The really horny gacha game.
Oh, okay. So I'm glad that makes perfect sense. I understand instantly. I literally took one look at Nikkei. Like, I can't. I'm not even gonna bother because if literally one human being ever saw me play this action, I'd have to instantly like commit.
You have to turn off your Steam notifications. You can't let people know what game you're playing.
Yeah, no,
not even that. Like if it was on my phone and I was like hunched over it, and like someone just saw an ass from like 10 feet away at a weird angle, I would immediately just club myself in the head with my phone until I died.
Absolutely. Like, I'm sorry, I can't. So, but apparently that game is being made by some of the people who made Nikkei.
That tracks so hard.
So, I'm gonna play it. I think it looks great.
It looks so much just like
it's just ripping off Nier Automata. Like,
yeah, it looks like the bootleg Spider-Man action figure Sense of Right Alliance version of Nier Automata.
This is the granddad version of Nier Automata.
Yeah.
I mean, for fuck's sake, the main character's name is Eve. Her companions are Adam and Lily. Like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't have a PS5 either. I'm not liable to play it when it comes out. That's going to be a game that's either going to get 9s or 3s, no in between.
Yeah.
And honestly, if it gets a bunch of 3s, that might actually be the indicator that it's a better video game.
That's the better outcome is that it's 2 to 3 out of 10 across the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I'm preparing myself for the reality where we're getting the deadly premonition to Nier Automata.
Exactly.
If this game is bad, I will buy it.
If this game is good, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't need a good, sexy character action game because I have Nier Automata.
Right.
I want a bad one now. I need the bad one.
I want it to, if it's at least like interestingly bad, I'm so on board. It's ridiculous.
I think there's no way it will not be intriguingly bad.
Right.
If it's bad, it's going to be fun bad.
God, I can't wait.
I'm going to make my gamer psychic prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Day one that game comes out, Yoko Taro tweets a screenshot of him playing it.
Oh, absolutely.
100%, for sure.
With the camera pointed directly at Eve's ass. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll see him doing a thumbs up.
Yeah.
In his new Emil head, because the other one got stolen.
Yeah. We also saw Sega's attempt to mitigate Google searches for Sonic X Shadow by putting Shadow in Sonic Generations.
Oh, right.
They're not going to succeed.
It's not going to win. No.
I've seen the rumor mills a spinning about or the whatever trailer mills or whatever. I don't keep up with the Sonic movies.
Yeah.
But about Shadow probably being in that third one.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the teaser for the second one, so he's going to be in the third
one. And I'm just like, I already seen people fucking like super doubling down on their Sonic X Shadow ship fan art in the intervening couple of days. Like they don't got a hope in the world.
Yeah, no, you're never gonna stop that train.
This trailer is great though because it's framed like a Smash reveal trailer.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty excited for that because like it was weird that Shadow was not playable in Sonic Generations. So cool that they're putting him in there and doing a bunch of cool stuff with that. Things that are not cool is we saw Judas in Silent Hill.
Finding out Judas is about cancel culture is the most like I knew like Ken Levine, the mask have fallen away from your ill-begotten capital, and this 10 years you've spent has been proving that you're even more of a hack fraud than anyone dared dream.
I saw that trailer, and the thing that really makes my blood boil is that blonde bitch is just Elizabeth.
Yeah.
It's the same face.
Oh,
He's literally like, oh, people loved Elizabeth. They made a lot of, steam porn of Elizabeth. So I'm going to coast off of that and do the Overwatch thing, right? And just kind of live off the porn that gets made in my video game.
It's the funniest thing. I was before we started recording this, I was listening a bit to, I just happened to tune into the Castle Super Beast stuff, because I haven't listened to them in several years, but like they were on Twitch and such, and they were talking about this, and they were like, it's wild, because they did that, and they're clearly doing that, despite the fact that Ken Levine emphatically requesting that people not draw porn of this character that he considered his daughter, is the thing that basically made people in protest go and develop a bunch of insane source filmmaker porn technology.
Yeah.
And you can make an argument that Ken Levine is significantly responsible for the popular culture, behemouthness of Overwatch in that specific lens.
That's correct.
It is his fault.
It's his fault, and like he's still now. He's like, well, I'm just gonna capitalize on it because like it's the same face. It's almost exactly the same face with her, like, except she's got long blonde hair instead. But it's the same fucking
Big
like
eye.
pouty lips, button nose, big old fucking cartoon eyes, Elizabeth Disney princess goddamn face that they just over animated to shit in that game, right?
Yeah.
Like
we're gonna
just absurd.
We're gonna get a point in this game where you do like a time warp thing and you warp to Columbia.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna have to throw Ken Levine into a volcano like I'm a Mishima.
Oh yeah. Just hoist him over your head. Toss him down. Yeah, absolutely. I will not be purchasing this game. I think it looks like dog shit. I think the character models are some of the ugliest I've ever seen in a modern video game. I just think it's aesthetically hideous. And, I mean, it's written by a hack and a fraud who wants to make a video game about cancel culture.
I can feel my gamer psychic prediction coming back. She has the same face of Elizabeth because it's connected to Bioshock Infinite.
No, but they can't use that name, so they're gonna dance around name like dropping a name for anything.
No, they totally can.
What do you mean they can't, Ben? It's the same publisher.
Yeah, no, they can totally reference Bioshock Infinite.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
this is being funded by Take-Two. Same deal.
Oh, well then shit. Yeah, this is gonna be a stealth sequel to Bioshock.
Yeah, this is absolutely gonna be him going 10 years ago, I don't want to make any more Bioshocks. I want to make smaller narrative games, and then making a huge game that is also a secret Bioshock sequel because I hate his. I need him to go. Can we please get him to go? Pro tip: I am so mad.
I'm so sick of him.
I've said this before. I've said this before, and this is perhaps maybe the meanest thing I've said to any creative in the industry that isn't David Cage. David Cage has put out a game in the last decade.
Yeah.
So in that respect, at least he has one over on Ken Levine.
I think David Cage is a more competent storyteller than Ken Levine.
No.
That is...
Yes. I don't think he's a more competent storyteller, but what I do think is that I think he at least has more ideas.
Absolutely.
Ken Levine clearly does not have any
Levine
idea.
has one idea.
David Cage is more of a writer. He's not a better writer.
I just don't think Ken Levine is very much of a writer then.
Well, the problem is you can't he's David Cage isn't a good writer, but that doesn't mean that Ken Levine is by comparison.
No, yeah.
Ken Levine's also the problem is Bioshock Infinite, the only thing that really separates it from being exactly as bad as any given David Cage game and exactly as morally bankrupt and creatively stupid is that he doesn't put in any motion-scanned actors to be clearly a sexual pervert about.
I guess that's the question is are you considered a better writer if your audience feels more emotion, which in my case was rage? Because I walked away from Infinite just feeling kind of bummed out and slightly confused, but Detroit and Beyond Two Souls made me angry.
The immense stupidity of everything David Cage has ever made is a testament at least to that his writing is here's the thing. Whether it's his intention or not, whether it's his design, whether it means that the writing is good or bad, he is more successful at inciting human emotional responses to the things that he writes.
I genuinely think, and I don't like Detroit, I think Detroit Become Human is a better written game than Bioshock Infinite.
Yeah, honestly,
I guess Detroit does have Hank and Connor in it, so I have to give it at least that much.
I think, the fucking Bioshock Infinite has the Lutaz twins, who are cool, and I like them a lot, and they're super wasted in that game.
Yeah, but I would take Hank and Connor over Lutaz twins any day.
And go ahead.
Because it's the thing is, Detroit Become Human. Is its plot stupid? Yes. Are its politics bad? Definitely.
Absolutely.
Are its characters good? Not at all. However, there is I can remember things that happened. I can remember specific scenes and weird plot threads in that game. literally the only two things I remember about Bioshock Infinite are the part where you kill the only named black character in the game because she's about to start a race war, and the really stupid ending.
Like, the thing is that Detroit Become Human is a better written video game than Bioshock Infinite because all of its connecting plot points, even if they're dumb and bad, tie into each other and make sense, right? Like, they're dumb and they're bad and they're cliched and they're just every dumb trope about robot stories that have been told over the last 25 years. But every story feeds into one another and leads to something that makes sense. It's not good, but it makes sense. The stuff, every time I think about the fact that, like, there's a whole plot point in Bioshock Infinite about how Booker and Elizabeth need to go get some guns for the revolution, so they go to another dimension, never go back to the one they left, and then get to the guns and realize, hey, we don't have a way to move these things. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's a story that was written, like, totally by the seat of his pants because Ken Levine just doesn't know how to write, right? Like, the stuff in Bioshock, in fucking Detroit Become Human, at least connects to everything in a way that makes sense.
You're totally right, Sarah, because I just remember the DLC for Infinite.
Yeah,
you're totally right.
It's one of the worst things that's ever happened to a video game ever.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Detroit is a better game than that.
Here's the olive branch I'll extend, the devil's advocate I'll play. Bioshock Infinite is a better written game than literally every other David Cage game except Detroit Become Human, which is infuriating but competent. Detroit Become Human is bad, but it is acceptable. It is not a crime the way literally every other David Cage game is.
Right.
Yeah, because Detroit Become Human did not have the same fucking absolute bullshit that still pisses me off that Heavy Rain had.
Right.
Detroit Become Human doesn't have the bit where he tries to subvert your expectations that Shelley is not the killer because he's the detective, and also you never see him have any thoughts about being the killer.
Yeah,
in a way that's
him.
In a way that's like very clearly intended to be like, oh, I'm subverting the thing. It's like, no, you're cheating. You have in fact broken the rule. That's the reason why the rule is there, you hack fraud.
You're having a detective stand there with no one around him thinking to himself, I've got to catch this killer.
Right.
You're lying to me.
You're just telling a lie. You're literally just lying to the narrative. You're not giving me any breadcrumbs to follow.
Yeah.
A significant part of that game's story and like narrative tension is oriented around a cutscene they removed and continue to make reference to in the plot, even though it's not there, which is a cutscene where Ethan had a dream that implied that he might have been the guy who's sticking the kids in drains. But no, Bioshock Infinite better written than fucking Heavy Rain or the weird voyeuristic rapey game. Yeah, that one. Better written than Indigo Prophecy? Sure, yeah, why not? It's better written than all those. But I gotta give it to David Cage for Detroit Become Human in that it is better written than Bioshock Infinite, and its politics are only equivalently bad.
They are exactly. Yeah. It's crazy.
Okay, we can't do this anymore.
All right, Silent Hill. We meant to talk about Silent Hill.
Speaking of auteurs, I have nothing to say about Silent Hill 2. We know it's going to be bad.
Yeah, as I mentioned, listening to the Castle Super Beast earlier. Sorry if you listen to both those podcasts, by the way. It's just literally the only time in the last 5 years I've listened to them podcast together, so it felt relevant. Pat makes the convincing argument that Silent Hill 2 is the worst thing to happen to the Silent Hill franchise.
I can see that, yeah.
Because of those 4 numbered games, 3 of them are just Stephen King cult nonsense, and one of them is the Trauma game, and every single game after that has been trying to do the Trauma game and failing to do the Trauma game.
It's incredible. Yep. The only thing I'll say about Silent Hill 2 continues to be the same thing. I had to turn the stream off and have people in the Discord ping me for when it was safe for me to come back, because I can't even look at that game
Yeah,
without feeling bad.
We did, and then the immediate next game that came up was Judas, and we had to tell him to leave again.
No, great. Everyone's like, okay, Sarah, it's safe to come back. Oh no, it's Kim Levine!
Okay, Sarah. If we had to stream one of them.
Judas,
okay.
I can make fun of Judas. I think I would literally be so angry watching the Silent Hill 2 remake being played that I don't think I'd actually be able to speak. Like, I can't articulate the genuine feelings of, like, bloodlust that the Silent Hill 2 remake inspires in me. Yeah. If I, like, met the guy who's directing that game, it's on site. Mm-hmm. I'll go to jail.
Listen, like not that we're gonna, but if we, I think it's good to every so often just play a real stinker of a game.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's, I mentioned this, I was talking about this to Red on Twitter, where it's just like, or not Red, but his co-host Alex, where it's like, oh man, it's a shame we haven't gotten any, like, good Western developed psychological horror games recently that they could kind of draw inspiration on from Silent Hill. It's a shame no company in Europe has made that game within the past 4 months.
Don't worry about it. It's insane to me that they gave it to fucking Bloober when Remedy's sitting right there.
Look, it's not going to happen because Konami's super cheap and loves to make bad decisions.
Correct.
Can you imagine the millions of dollars, the gazillions of dollars of free money we're getting Remedy to make a remake of Silent Hill 3.
Could you imagine?
First game to sell a Remedillion copies.
First game to sell, like, a completely normal, not special edition of itself for $100 United States dollars, and I just go, yeah, all right.
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely.
The game that would, in fact, shoot the GDP of Finland up to the top of the list. It would just be that easy. But no, they're like, we're gonna get Bloober Team instead.
Look, if it needs to be a bigger project, you just do a combined remake of Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 3 and have it be like a part 1, part 2 situation.
That'd be so cool.
And you get Remedy to do it. And like, look, you have to give them a lot of money to do it. They're a big developer. But also, like, or at the very least, you have to give them a lot of the returns, but it will pay dividends for the fucking survivability of this IP that literally anyone would give a shit about if you just let Remedy, said, hey, Remedy, please make for us the ultimate survival horror game and tell everyone else to go fuck themselves and stop trying.
Please. I'm just so sad. Especially because there's no way to play Silent Hill 2 on modern systems without, like, a lot of work, because there is a PC port, it's extremely bad. There is a fan patch to make it not so bad. But, like, that's a lot of work that normal people don't want to go through, right? Mm-hmm. So there's no way to play Silent Hill 2 as it was when it came out without resorting to emulation, like usual. And
even the emulation, like, as famously and through the span of history, had a lot of problems.
Yeah, turns out emulation has a really hard time with that fog. The same fog that, like, made it run good on the PlayStation 2, because famously the fog was introduced in the PS1 and the PS2 because it was a way to hide loading, right? That fog now is a huge problem for modern renderers because nobody knows what to do with it.
Yeah, because it's designed to run on a weird proprietary chipset that nothing uses anymore.
Exactly. So it's just hard for people to play Silent Hill 2 as it is. And so over time, I have to deal with, like, I have to just deal in my soul with the disgusting fact that the remake might become the version that people play over the original.
And it's made by the biggest hack frauds in the world who are repeatedly on the hook for just stealing shit.
For just straight up doing plagiarism. And the game is ugly, and it just looks so bad and so cheap. and so awful.
There's a shot in that trailer where a Silent Hill 2 zombie nurse thing does a combat vault over scenery to come get you. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing? Like, what is going? The fucking the cheap hacky, like all because Bloober Team does not know how to be subtle, obviously not. But the cheap, hacky, new graffiti they've added all around the town, the fucking "you deserve this" or "I've always been alone," like all of this stupid shit, and it's so bad. I have never hated a game more in my entire life.
Save us, Ryukishi. Ryukishi, save us.
Ryukishi 7, save me.
Silent Hill F might be mostly a visual novel and also developed for $20, but there's a significant risk it might be the best Silent Hill thing to have come out in the last 20 fucking years.
Oh god.
We can move on though. We gotta talk about Death Stranding 2 though.
Death Stranding 2 looks good as fuck.
It looks so good. I love that puppet.
I love that puppet.
I that's apparently a German Indian film director whose name escapes me at the moment, but also it's specifically a Bunraku puppet, and I'm like, what the fuck's happening here?
I love a low frame rate. I love a stop motion character in your fully rendered world.
That 100% seems... This is my shot call for if they ever do developer commentary on this shit. That is 100%. He saw the Spider-Verse suit in Miles Morales and went, oh fuck, that looks sick.
Yeah, like he saw Spider-Verse and was obsessed with it.
We're also going to find out that was like one of the hardest visual effects to pull off.
Oh, sure.
Actually, honestly, I don't think it would be that difficult, because it's a thing where... This is actually a thing that happens a lot in... Frankly, it happens in a lot of games, but you see it a lot in Switch games, especially the new Pokemon one, because it's one of the ways you save on performance.
Oh, that's true.
Is that you literally just go tell the animations, like, okay, the animation is this far away, have it start rendering at a lower frame rate.
I'm wondering if that's going to be more difficult when you have a character that's interacting with that object.
And that character is interacting with it at 60. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do think this game looks sick as shit. I'm glad it's going a little bit more. I never finished Death Stranding, and now that 2 is coming out, I'm gonna have to. Because, like, I'm just, this game seems to be leaning a little bit towards more, like, action focus. I mean, maybe. The game could come out and it's still just a walking simulator, literally.
I don't think so, because they make a lot of implications of trailer, like when he says you finally ditched the rope for the stick, right? And like there's a shot where like he is in an armory with tons of rifles and shit, right? Where it seems like, and especially considering like this launch trailer is way more rip shit and bombastic and out there compared to literally any pre-release coverage we got of Death Stranding.
Yeah, Cyborg Ninja's in it.
And frankly, crazier than anything that actually happens in Death Stranding, where it gives me the impression that he might be trying to intentionally do like an Aliens to Death Stranding 1's Alien, and like just go like, no, this is the one by a completely different director who's focused mostly on doing spectacle action, and as a result, the tone is completely wildly different.
Yeah,
right.
Either way, I'm utterly fascinated. Death Stranding was a fantastic game. I'm very excited to see more of this world.
At risk of redesigning my OCs too often, that insane like orange skull gut suit is really the most good. Like, I need to put Pippa in that like right now.
That's correct. It's so cool.
It's so sexy and like
see a design and you're like, why did it take this long for someone to think of this idea?
For me, it was ironically not that suit that I was just espousing the incredible evil sexiness of, but it is Leia Seydoux's hand mask.
Oh, fuck, it's so cool, right?
Oh, that's perfect. The minute you saw that, we were like, oh, that looks really cool, and then the hands move, and we're like, oh, fuck!
They hold her fucking cigarette for her. How cool of an idea is that?
I don't know if this is canon or if it's a joke Pat made in the stream. I'm bringing them up again. He referred to it as the second hands. Because she's smoking with her second hand, so it's second-hand smoke.
That's so cute. It's just...
But it's like, you immediately go, huh, that's a crazy design. But then also when they move to shield her eyes from like the
Yeah.
fluid popping, you go, oh, not only is it cool and like a symbol, it's also extremely functional.
Yeah, it's very practical. It's like the design of it is very weird because it looks like a pair of like rendered human hands, but its function makes sense. Like it's really cool. And yeah, no, just so many cool like design ideas in this. You know, they put Troy Baker back in the video game, and they gave him an electric guitar, literally.
Yeah, he just has Red Hot Chili Peppers.
He's wearing the fucking crow face paint. Because Kojima he's just doing flat movie references again.
He's wearing the crow face paint, and also I can't tell because they have a kind of similar face shapes with the long nose and everything. He may or may not also just be in Samantha's body? Question mark?
Yeah.
Like, because he has her hair and kind of her face, and I think her necklace also.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
it could be anything. So
did he like? And it's like, I've never seen it. Like, it has been, ironically, the original Death Stranding trailer is always going like, I have more questions because it's the most dreamy, unexplained, whatever. This is super blunt and stupid and literal, but it's still like every new shot I have, there's something in it that makes you go, "Hey, what the fuck's up with that?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also just at the end of it, he's like, "Hey, I'm making steel cog liquid."
Oh yeah, he's making another fucking Metal Gear Solid, basically.
Yeah.
They literally call it a stealth action game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. They do the pan out to show that he's actually in a Hollywood studio now.
Sorry, Kojima, you're never gonna escape from people asking you to make a Metal Gear Solid.
Sony did the thing with their hands that meant here's some money, and they did that a lot until Kojima went, yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, fine, fuck it. But you have to give me a lot of money. And they're like, fine.
It's like, all right, look, Sony, I need... there's been rumors that GTA 6 is going to be the first $1 billion video game. And I don't know that I'm not going to beat them to release, but I want to make the second $1 billion video game.
Yeah,
and Sony's just like, looks at Kojima and then looks at like all their other information about Kojima again. It's like, yeah, fuck it, why not?
Why not? Fuck it. We might as well.
You'll use the Horizon engine again, right? So you don't have to waste a bunch of time and effort making a new engine. It's like, yeah, totally, I'll use the Horizon engine again.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
Oh my god.
All right, we gotta start moving through these though.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 6 DLC character Ed launches February 27th.
Cute, fine.
Ed is here to. The trailer looks really good. They do a final fight train sequence with him, where he's on the train and he beats a bunch of goons.
That's fun.
It looks like he's gotten out of Bison's influence and he's just kind of like being a regular boxer. So cool.
Good for him.
Where's Dudley?
Yeah.
Show us Dudley.
Put him in. You gotta.
Next, Megamind's new film and TV series both reveal first trailer.
I guess I didn't realize how beloved Megamind is. And it is, apparently.
Yeah.
This feels like another case of striking while the iron is like fucking
very cold.
Because the problem is Megamind is beloved like a couple years after it came out because it was really stupid and memed on Tumblr. But that was like when I was in like undergrad, maybe if not high school.
Yeah, and like
it's Megamind is kind of like a lesser Shrek, where it gets memed on. But if you ask someone like if they like Megamind, they'll be like, "Yeah, it was pretty good."
Apparently it's like a good movie. Like, just like generally like a pretty good sort of reverse superhero movie, right? Because the bad guy, the good guy ends up being the bad guy kind of thing. And like, so when they announced this sequel movie and TV show, and the animation quality is significantly worse than the movie that came out 10 years ago or however fucking long it's been, it's just very funny to watch. To just see how many people on the internet are like, oh, that looks really bad.
You can't announce a new Megamind sequel that has the budget and presentation of the Megamind PS3 game that hypothetically exists.
Right.
Where if you can't even get Will Ferrell back, then just don't.
Don't make it. Yeah, just don't make it. You know? So, yeah. It was just very funny to realize that Megamind is apparently quite beloved by a certain subset of people.
Yeah.
You know, sorry that your sequel movie looks really bad, though.
Mm-hmm. Sonic 3 reveals more of its cast, but not who fans are waiting for. Jim Carrey is back.
Very funny that Jim Carrey is, like, not a fan of sequels, but is just gonna keep making Sonic movies.
Jim Carrey, who very infamously did not actually end up doing the Ace Ventura sequel.
Yeah.
So it's weird that he's like, no, I'll be Eggman all day, every day.
I guess he just really likes being Eggman.
I'll tell you what it is. Jim Carrey, very accomplished comedic actor. I would say a career that peaked maybe 15 to 20 years ago at least.
That's right.
A man who's, I believe, in his 60s?
Yeah, probably around that.
The thing is, that Sonic movie, they pay him good, I'm sure.
They pay him very good, and it has made him actually, like, culturally relevant again. So
they're probably paying him better than, like, literally any other straight-to-streaming, like, prestige drama thing he could hypothetically get. And you know what? If you're like, hey, I'm kind of coasting in the twilight of my acting, let me get some real big-ticket plays in so I can, retire comfortably, leave something to my kids, whatever. Like, that's a pretty good way to go about it.
That's a pretty good way to go about it, and all the more if making the movies are enjoyable and fun, unlike the Ace Ventura sequel.
Yeah.
So, you know what?
Good for him.
Good for him. Get that bag.
Also
I still remember that time he harassed Benito Mussolini's fucking granddaughter on Twitter. So I have to like him no matter what, even though I think he's kind of like an anti-vax weirdo.
He is, but it's okay. Like, you're
balances out.
Yeah, it's like one of those things. Like you make fun of Benito Mussolini's daughter on Twitter, and it does like excuse a couple of things.
You actually can get away with a few things if you explicitly do a drawing of Benito Mussolini and his wife hanging upside down at the gas station, and then show that drawing to Alexandra Mussolini. That's actually really cool.
Like the sadly departed lead singer of Smash Mouth was also like an anti-vax weirdo, among other things. However, he did make that one tweet where he implied DJ Khaled isn't a man because he doesn't eat pussy, and so like that's like 20 points you can apply to anywhere. You know what I mean?
They also announced Kristen Ritter, James Wolk, Jorma Tacone, and they announced the actress who will presumably be playing Maria.
Right.
And I feel bad for that child.
It's a dead
because they're going to have to deal with the fact that there is a massive audience of people who are going to cheer and clap as she gets gunned down on screen.
Could you imagine the idea of having that audience versus like the kids who are just coming in here because Sonic's cool and it's their first time seeing all the Sonic shit, and like you just see this horrible, you're a kid, like you're like 7 years old,
sure,
right? You're 8 or 9 years old, and you see this horribly traumatic scene of this little girl just getting fucking lit up like a Christmas tree, and everyone in the audience is fucking cheering and hooting and clapping like it's the best thing they've ever seen in their life.
It's the resurgence of the anticipation of Aquaman 2 when we were just hyped and begging and pleading for Black Manta to kill Aquaman's infant child.
Kill that baby.
Kill that baby.
Everybody wanted it.
We all wanted that fucking baby to die.
Everybody wanted that to be a dead baby. I'm telling you now.
I'm guessing they weren't cool enough to kill the baby.
They did not. They wimped out and did not kill the baby. It was very disappointing.
That fucking baby.
I don't know if you know.
Jason Momoa, I'm sending you to the Parawiggler. I'm sorry. I know it's your decision, but someone has to be responsible, and I don't know the names of anyone else who worked on that movie.
I don't know if you know this, Saturn, about Aquaman and Black Manta's relationship. Black Manta is the king all-time hater. there's no one who is a bigger hater than Black Manta.
I was going to say, like, I'm not keen in the comics, but based on conversations we've had before, something in my brain is telling me that the key defining feature of Black Manta is that he is, like, an unrepentant, inveterate psychopath.
There's two amazing moments that I know of in the history of Aquaman and Black Manta. One is when Black Manta basically rides in with, like, his army of, like, animals and robots and whatnot. Like, he rises out of the ocean, and again, he is responsible for killing Aquaman's wife and child. Mm-hmm. Rolls up onto the beach, and he says, "Hey, Arthur, how's the wife and kid?"
What a fucking prick!
And then the other moment is, so there was an event, a big event where a lot of people died, and then they started coming back, right?
Sure.
And in between that time, there's a page of just this guy working at, like, a fish market, like, on the beach, right? And he's just going about his day, and he's cutting the TVs on, and they're talking about the news, like, all the dead heroes are coming back to life, and one of the customers goes, "Oh man, isn't that great? Aquaman's back." And the butcher just grabs his knife, and he leaps over the counter and opens that guy's throat. And he stabs his coworker, and he grabs another customer and just, like, fucking stabs her in the neck. Walks out of the restaurant, blows it up, walks into the ocean, and comes out in full Black Manta regalia.
What a fucking king! That guy that's a character that would get me to start reading MCOM. I'm genuine. I completely, like, it makes the Monarch look small time.
There's no one who is just filled with hate for his enemy like Black Manta. Oh, it's incredible. He just walks in. He's like, "I got everything I wanted. He's back. I'm back. I'm in."
Oh man, that owns.
Yeah.
Just you, like, Black Manta hasn't been on Facebook for a while. That's weird. And then, like, just one day you just see him post that meme, "Lord forgive me, but I'm going back to the old me." And you're like, uh-oh.
Oh no. Oh god. Okay, we gotta keep moving.
Next. Meet the man making the worst video game of all time.
What?
So, Carson Rapp, who is an amateur game dev, who has apparently been streaming since he was 11.
Okay.
Has decided that he wants to make the worst game of all time.
Well, if you're setting out to make it, you're gonna fail.
So, but the thing is, it's actually very interesting, is that he's talking, like, this article interview talks about how it's a razor's edge you have to dance on. Because, yeah, you can just make a game that is impossible, you know, and, like, oh, it's bad because, like, the controls just don't work and whatnot and blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, you can do that. But, like, no. He wants to make a game that you can finish, but is just full of the most infamously worst design aspects of a game.
Yeah.
But does function.
No, I'm giving him an L. I'm not allowing it. You can't intentionally make the worst game of all time. Because, like, true badness has to come from a place of either, like, desperation, ignorance, or unearned self-confidence, right? You've got, like, you've got The Room. You've got the Kwai Man, right? Like, all of these products that are like, they're genuinely bad. But we're not made with the intention of being bad, right? You can't go out and make, like, a bad video game. It's cheating. I mean, sure, the video game will be bad, but it won't be, like, you know.
It's like, he's talking, like, it's less of a game and more of a thought experiment that he's trying to actually bring to life. Like, he's not intending to make this a traditional game. He is trying to accumulate these bad ideas.
Yeah.
He's trying to make fun stuff.
He's making art.
Yeah, I guess he's making art. That is an interesting thing, because, like, I wonder, though, if the intentionality of it will prevent it from being truly bad.
That's the thing, because I think my thinking here is that for this to exist, there needs to be a completely non-design related, non-implementation related, just hard cutoff. Like of some kind of resource, like I'm only allowed to work on it until this date, or I'm only allowed to spend so many man hours on it, or whatever. Because like if you just can make the as designed combination of all the things that you think are bad, like if you have as much time as you want to do it, and it comes out and you've made sure it's as bad as you want it to be, you have made something that is by definition better than a ton of shit that gets pushed out onto storefronts every single day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like you
have to be a sweary or a Suda to have any chance of making the worst game of all time, because you have to have a lot of crazy ideas and no money, and also no one good to help you make them.
Right, like all of the bad games that like actually the YouTuber I really like, Your Favorite Son, he intentionally goes out. He's started a recent video series where he plays a handful of lowly rated video games off of Steam, and like, you know, these kind of very bad video games are always made with like very little money, no time, usually like some kind of shovelware, right? And so to a certain extent, because of the intentionality behind it, you can't have like, unless he's just doing like a Unity store asset flip or something, get out from under my desk, leave me be. You can't really accomplish that, right?
Yeah. So here's
an interesting thought experiment.
Here's a couple of quotes from him, because like I do think like his intention is very fascinating. Here's a quote from Rap himself. Deadly Premonition, now that is a bad game, objectively. Like the shooting is bad, the gameplay is bad, the game's really janky, it's glitchy, it's too long, but I love it. It is so unique and special, and the badness makes it more interesting. So, and then he goes on to say like, the big secret is, I don't want to make a bad game. I want to make a funny game. And this comes across when I'm live streaming. He says, we can't do that. But I say, we can't do that. It's too much. I'm always saying that it's too much. I can't let myself make it too bad. I'm trying to make it fun and interesting.
See?
So he's not trying to make what is objectively the worst game of all time. He is trying to accumulate bad game design, but still make something functional out of it.
Right. Okay.
I'm rooting for him. I feel like there's a very good odds that unless you are specifically keeping up with this project, I am literally never going to hear about this again.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is not something I don't think it's going to take the world by storm. I want to share one screenshot of this game from this article.
Please do. Okay.
Look, you know what? Will he be successful? Probably not. However, he clearly has the spirit.
Yes.
He's got his heart in the right place.
He knows what he wants his game to be.
Absolutely.
For those who have not read the article, it is an image of the respawn screen after dying that says, in order to respawn, please select the image that does not contain a dog, with 3 very poorly drawn dog-like animals.
That's right. All right, that's pretty good.
Next, exclusive Microsoft plans Starfield launch for PlayStation 5, and then leapfrogging off of that, pretty much everything Xbox exclusive is probably going to not be exclusive anymore. We had rumors of Hi-Fi Rush coming to Switch and PlayStation. Did you see the screenshot proof of that?
No.
There is, so in Hi-Fi Rush, you can get t-shirts for Chai, right?
Right.
Uh-huh.
They data mined a few extra shirts that are going to be soon announced in like the next patch. One is a solid blue shirt that says something like, I'm here now.
Uh-oh.
And a solid red shirt that says something like, go anywhere.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it's probably coming to Switch and PS5.
So, the other thing about this is that So the article mentions that, Starfield to PS5. It also mentions that Microsoft is interested in what is the exact line? Hold please while I try to find it. Shit.
While Sarah tries to find it, we also got just earlier today Philly Cheesesteak himself tweeting that they're going to have a presentation about the future of the Xbox as a business next week.
They're gonna talk about how they're expanding their horizons to new frontiers like different consoles.
Yeah.
And how the number can only go up.
It's hold on. Wait, the line, I've almost got to it. I'm scrolling back in our many conversations. Oh, of course, Discord is just useless. It keeps popping me around. It is... Oh, whatever. Where'd it go? I hate this. Of course it's not. It's not easy. Okay. Forgive me.
While Sarah's still looking, Chris Wolfhart also had a great tweet earlier that I think sums up the situation pretty well. From even before Philly Cheesesteak announced the impending old yellering of the Xbox business, which is, to quote Chris, turns out that Xbox leadership's repeated insistence that they could somehow exist in the console space while selling neither consoles or games was not, in fact, true.
Yeah, no, the line from the Xbox era article is, so it's, Microsoft plans Starfield launch for PlayStation 5 post the release of the already announced Shattered Space expansion for Xbox and PC. Hidden in that article is the line, Microsoft have made additional investments into PlayStation 5 dev kits to support ongoing development efforts. So...
Here, the thing is, like, and to get out ahead of it a little bit, I've seen at least one argument in our Discord of someone to the effect of, this is obviously them trying to play like they're not a monopoly post facto the acquisition, right? Because you have to make a show of after you get your acquisition approved, also like seeming like you're trying to fulfill the spirit of the things that you said that let you get the acquisition through.
Yeah, you have to pretend. You still have to still pretend you're a little guy.
And but here's the thing: even if that's the intent, if Starfield goes out on PS5, it doesn't matter what their intent is. They're done.
Yeah,
because everyone is going to always, because like Sony puts out their exclusives on PC 4 or 5 years later. But, like, if we get an announcement that Starfield's going to be out on PS5 this calendar year, no one's ever going to buy an Xbox timed exclusive anywhere near launch ever again.
This is Starfield going to PS5 is the fucking bit in 300 where he throws the spear and it cuts the guy's cheek. And he's like, even a god can bleed.
Yeah. It's so, like... It really is so, like, Phil says there's gonna be a talk next week about the future of Xbox, and it sure as hell seems like the announcement is that there is no future for Xbox.
Yeah. The future is that the Xbox you have is the last Xbox.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do any more of those. We might, like, pivot that hardware apparatus. Like, my thinking is maybe they'll pivot that apparatus to just doing a line of budget gaming PCs that are.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's the
most sane thing they can do to like still salvage this is to just be like, because like every Xbox game that has come out has also simultaneous released on PC because PC gaming is the biggest it's ever been, right?
Yeah.
So it would be extremely smart and probably work out better for them than just having like a dedicated console to just be like, hey, yeah, we're releasing an Xbox branded line of budget PCs that cost, $500 to $800. There's 3 models of them, and you buy one of those and it out of the box it can just play most video games on high settings or better, depending on how much money you spend, right? Like that seems like the best thing they could do is just pivot to that, and they probably would make more money that way.
I can promise you this: they would sell more units in Japan doing that than whatever the fuck they're doing now.
Yeah,
yeah.
no, for sure.
People-
and with
People would play Final Fantasy 14 on that.
Mhm.
They're not going to play Final Fantasy 14 on the Xbox.
well, they need Game Pass first.
Yeah,
Well, on
exactly.
the Xbox, but if it's just a PC, it's a PC. You don't need Game
Yeah.
Pass for that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, I think that would be the smart move, because then you can just release new SKUs more regularly than waiting for a next entire generation.
And you can do your own fucking. You can even try to compete with Nintendo and with Steam and put out your own knockoff Steam Deck, right? Like,
because I think this is also the thing is that I think this is like, and I will say, like, obviously it is like insane that Microsoft is actually backing down. So that's definitely what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it is smart because, as we've discussed, if that Switch 2 gets announced and that thing's a PS4 that can play Switch games, Sony's fucked.
Yeah,
they have
Sony's turbo fucked. Yeah.
Like, they're gonna get, like, Microsoft's like, we're looking at the numbers and it's like, I'm a little bit, it's 100%, like, it seems really likely that the Switch is going to be a portable PlayStation 4. And we just ain't fucking with that.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's a combination of the Xbox Series X/S has not been a success, really. I mean, I'm sure it's done all right, but not like the breakout success of the PS5. I think it's a combination of realizing that, like, Sony has the premium console, like, the share of that market, right? Of premium consoles. But they're also looking and seeing what, like, industry rumors are saying, and that is that Nintendo is going to put out a portable PS4, basically, and just realizing that their sliver of the market is about to completely evaporate.
Yeah.
Like, and then Nintendo is just going to start eating into what little of the market share Sony has left, because, you know, with every passing month, the PS5 no games meme just gets more and more potent, right?
Yeah. No, Sony will not be able to enjoy being on the top for very long. Like the Switch 2 is like in your average shonen when, like, they're up against, like, an unassuming little kid, and then the little kid whips out some power that no one's ever seen before, and he turns out to be, like, kind of like psychopathic about it.
Yeah, and it's one of those. It's like, the problem is, like, Xbox is failing here because Xbox has been mismanaged for, like, an entire decade.
Yeah,
they haven't had a W since the 360. It's frankly insane. They continue to be in existence. However, like, you know, they have Microsoft money. It's fine, but I think it's finally they're realizing all this money we've been spending on game dev is not backed up by our market share, and we no longer see a path for it to be backed up by our market share, right?
Right.
Sony has been doing comparatively well, but they've also been mismanaged basically since, like, when Jim Ryan took over.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, he only just left, and, like, their production is such, it's probably going to take them a significant amount of time to start turning things around.
Right.
And we're going to be looking at a PS5 that probably goes a very long time without getting a ton of killer apps, that is going to very soon be having to contend with the Switch 2. That's like, this is the machine that runs Tears of the Kingdom and is locked 60.
Yeah.
What answer could you possibly have to that? Because it's not Horizon.
It's not Horizon.
Nope.
It's not a fucking rumored Uncharted 1 remake that nobody is asking for.
It's not, you know what? This leads into our next article.
Uh-huh.
It's not going to be The Last of Us 3.
Oh, yeah. No, Neil Druckmann saw what's happening with Israel-Palestine and decided, I'm going to get more racist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just kidding. I'm even more racist now.
That happened the last time there was a really big pop-off in 2016-ish, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And so it definitely lines up that the October attacks happened, and that we're gonna have some Last of Us 3 where, Ellie is like a beleaguered freedom fighter or whatever, and the Thing, who's, like, just trying to live in a civil society, but these dirty, abusive, horrible monsters are just it's weird. They have all these rockets. They just keep launching at her camp. Who knows where they're getting these rockets? And it's going to be that. so ready for him to also. I want him and Ken Levine to just go like in together so that we can like we can just have the one stone, right?
Right.
Like if you're, I know you have your cancel culture Palestine game in your back pocket. I'm waiting for it.
I know that's what Last of Us 3 is gonna be. Druckmann, you fucking hack. Like, no, it's gonna be so bad. It's gonna be so. But they're gonna talk about how whatever like walled city Ellie lives in is like the only walled city in America that's totally cool with lesbians, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's gonna.
It's so annoying that these zombies are now complaining about how we're invading on their territory, even though it's really ours.
Yeah, no, we were totally here first.
Yeah. Ellie was just like, where the hell are these clickers getting all these kefias? This is insane.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fucking wretched.
We found all this. We found all these copies of Mein Kampf inside this clicker hive.
Man, I saw a crazy video on Twitter recently of this clicker with an RPG taking out an entire tank squad. It was nuts.
Oh, just the idea of clickers making the red triangle appear over Ellie's head.
I think constantly about how fucking insane it is, by the way, that, like, trying to pivot into this idea that Last of Us is the series that so prominently features lesbians and how cool that is, when his initial draft for The Last of Us is, what if all the women in the world turned into psycho zombies? like that dude is such a fucking rube. I'm so sick of him.
Also, you know what? He's disregarding all of this bullshit about the Israel-Palestine thing that Neil Druckmann just has a huge boner for.
Right.
The simple thing is that the cycle of violence is going to continue again.
Right.
So who did what's her name?
Abby?
Who did Abby piss off that's going to be gunning for her?
Yeah, the whole point of the fucking Last of Us 2 is that, like, Ellie and, like, that Abby was going after Joel, and Ellie is now gonna go after Abby, and at the end of it, they both walk away because they're like, no, I'm gonna stop, right?
Yeah.
And, like, so what the fuck else is there? Like, I don't know. I think he's a hack and fraud. It's probably gonna move, like, 1 million copies because people have fucking pea brains, and, you know...
Scene 1, Ellie's minding her own business in her lesbian hut, and then Abby just shows up out of nowhere and blows her brains out.
Yeah, exactly.
Abby's like, you know what? Never mind. I want some revenge, actually.
I actually do want some fucking revenge, yeah.
It's a very weird thing where, like, the extended runtime of the Dark Souls franchise, especially for Dark Souls 3, is largely at the end. Miyazaki very clearly having some anxiety about having made this game that is about, like, the inescapability of death, but also its necessity, because letting a thing die with dignity is not only a way to respect its legacy, but also to, like, leave room for new things to grow, right? And Dark Souls 3 largely being, like, no one wants to let Dark Souls die.
Right.
At the expense of making it this bloated and unrecognizable thing. And I feel like Druckmann is doing that again, but he thinks it's a cool feature.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, they're only gonna have The Last of Us 3 and, like, and a Uncharted 1 remake that nobody wants. Like,
nobody likes Uncharted 1.
Nobody likes Uncharted 1.
Again,
that game is so 7th gen derogatory. It's insane. It got a sequel that is apparently good.
Okay, you want to know something even crazier? They did remake Uncharted 1.
Oh yeah.
Because on the Uncharted collection on PS4, the Uncharted 1 of that game is an updated version of Uncharted 1 that plays like Uncharted 3.
Oh, they're stupid.
They're so fucking stupid. Yeah, okay.
This is just going to be a fucking Last of Us remastered of Uncharted 1, where it's just the same game that looks slightly better, but actually looks worse.
Yeah.
So are we finding out, like, is this where it's really coming to roost that the entirety of Jim Ryan's tenure as the president of PlayStation was just giving the Horizon studio and Naughty Dog just whatever blank checks they wanted. And also, I guess the God of War studio, but like they've been a little more sedate. But just giving those 3 studios a blank check to make whatever the fuck they want, and then everyone else going, no, you know what? There's not enough market demand for 60 frames per second re-release of Bloodborne, that game that we own.
Yeah.
That everyone would pay $60 for a second time.
Yeah, like the ruin that Jim Ryan is about to inflict on Sony from beyond the grave is unreal, because Sony has nothing. Like, everything they showed at the PlayStation, the State of Play that we watched, that we were talking about earlier, very little of that is going to stay exclusive for long. I would be shocked if Stellar Blade is actually like...
Oh, Stellar Blade's going to be on PC. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly. No. And we already know that it's only because Square Enix learned their lesson from Final Fantasy 16. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth only has a 3-month gap between its PS5 and PC releases now, right? It's not like a 6-month gap. They've already said it's only going to be 3 months. Like, so Sony also has nothing. What they did have, and what they are now slowly realizing with the abject failure of Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, is that they had a bunch of live service games that nobody is going to buy.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
they bought Bungie for like $3+ billion, and then they immediately shit themselves.
Right. Like, they've got nothing. They have been able to put a couple W's out over the last few years because they are at least actively more competent at managing their current projects than Microsoft, a company who literally can't make anything anymore. Straight up just can't make anything anymore, right?
Yeah, it's frankly insane.
Too many people in the organization.
I can't think of a first party Microsoft exclusive that has come out on Series and been like acceptable to worth considering owning a Series for ever.
Okay, there's
nothing.
This is a very personal, like a very specific thing, but there are hints that Sparking Zero will not have local local verses because the Series cannot run it. The Series S cannot run split screen.
What?
Yeah, because the Series S is dog shit, and it's so dog shit that's why we got the thing with Baldur's Gate 3, where they're like, well, yeah, we haven't put it out on Xbox yet because we have to get feature parity of Series S because it's part of the requirements, and we can't get the co-op to run on Series S because the Series S is a fucking paperweight, and fucking Phil Spencer had to cut off his nose in public and go, no, it's just a suggestion. It was never binding. Put Baldur's Gate 3 out on Series, please.
Yeah, no, like this is now at the point where we are so far past the generation starting point that now this urge to keep things on PS4 and Series S is actively hindering production of games.
Yeah, like the Series S. And everybody knew this was going to happen when they announced the Series S. Everybody, when they saw the Series S and saw that it was like a lower spec, it's not like the discless version of the PS5, right? Which is just a PS5, but it doesn't have a disc drive. It is a lesser, like not as powerful version as the Series X. And when they announced it, everybody on the fucking planet knew this is going to be a millstone around the neck of the entire generation.
Yeah.
Because they're going to say that you have to be able to release it on both, because otherwise no one's going to buy the cheap one.
You have to let your cousin play.
Yeah. And it has, from the word go, hindered the generation in general. But now as like it keeps progressing, it's only gonna get worse. And so no wonder like people are not putting games out on Xbox because they have to take the fucking Series S into account. Microsoft has just been so actively mismanaged versus at least Sony has in the last few years been able to get a few things out, right? Like they have managed to get a few successful games out the door. They have been good video games like God of War Ragnarok and a handful of others. And like they've been good, they've scored well, they've sold well, like all of it is exactly what you would want, right? Those are going to start drying up.
Yeah.
Because of Jim Ryan's, like, basically, like, the delayed poison that he put at Sony, which is that, no, we need to invest heavily into live service games.
And we need to invest heavily in this infrastructure that only knows how to make 8-year development cycle Giga games and does not any longer have a, like, B-grade first-party apparatus.
Yeah. Right. Because they shut down fucking Japan studio, right? Like Psychopathic, right?
Yeah.
To shut down, like, the studio that basically made the games that defined your fucking PlayStation 2. Like, Japan studio made Shadow of the Colossus and Ico. Like, Shadow of the Colossus is one of the most famous video games ever made. And it was made by Japan studio. It was the thing that helped move, like, the PlayStation 2 into the hands of normal people, or, like, artsier people who wanted to play, like, an artsier video game. You had Ico and Shadow of the Colossus and other weird niche titles. That was the whole reason that, like, this is the PlayStation 2 and even eventually the PlayStation 3, which started to get a bunch of weird niche titles for the end of its life finally. Like, that's the stuff that that is the actual stuff that moves units.
Yeah. I am so glad that the public consensus is that Suicide Squad is bad. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
There was no way it was going to be good.
Because if this was one of those things where like The Last of Us, where average Joe was like, no, it's art though. That would have kept the industry, like, that model afloat. But the fact that even average Joe is like, this is dog shit, means that Suicide Squad is going to take other things with it.
I watched a bit of the Gigaboot stream of that, because that's the one I told you about in the DMs, where they did the insane donathon thing of, like, every $400 they switched between this and the new Grand Blue game, and ended up completely offsetting several months of their donathon. But I watched that, and it's like, the idea that game is a new live service game that released for $60 and opens the way it does is fucking insane. That game is so low rent, it boggles the mind.
Yeah, it's really incredible how cheap and ugly and bad Suicide Squad is.
So hopefully Suicide Squad will commit suicide and take something with it.
But the problem is, it's going to do that, right? Like, it's definitely going to do that. It's gonna have to force Sony to reevaluate their strategy of putting out, what was it, like 15 live service games over the next couple of years?
You're exaggerating, Sarah. It was 14.
Beg your pardon. Get the hell out of me.
Excuse you, Sarah. It was only a slightly less exorbitant, insane number.
Well, that's okay then. That's fine.
Totally okay.
Will be just fine.
No, they had 14 live service games scheduled. That's basically everything they had scheduled, right? So, like, now Sony's going to have to pump the brakes on all of this, and it means that they're just not going to have anything come out for the foreseeable future. All of this to say, when the Switch 2 is announced and is just a portable PlayStation 4, it's over. Like, it's just over for everyone.
Like, of the 14 they apparently have in production, like, the Bungie one's probably going to come out. Yeah. Because, like, they're very clearly trying to be doing fucking something that isn't Destiny 2.
I'm going to bet a lot of these will come out and then will get shut down before their first big, DLC or big content update.
My prediction is Marathon will probably continue to run because, their own horrible issues aside, the reason people are falling off of Destiny 2 is because recent Destiny 2 content is, like, really uninteresting and written badly. Because of they did the reverse Endwalker thing where they were doing a DLC and they're like, no, we need to actually space this out into 2 DLCs. And so instead of making one rushed but good expansion, they made 2 really shitty ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why Destiny 2 is, like, in a really bad place right now. But, like, broadly, they have a really good standard for how to make a live service game and also, like, an action game that feels good. Like they're one of the only people to have made a Destiny like that has actually like had enduring success, which is again part of why Sony fucking bought them for so much money and said, hey, please weigh in on these other live service projects. That one will get made and will probably be out for at least a while unless it bombs horrifically.
Sure.
Every single other one of those games is dead in the water on arrival.
Yep.
Absolutely. I don't think the other 13 are coming out. Absolutely not. No.
Maybe we'll get Fair Games. Maybe.
What the fuck is Fair Games? I don't even know what that is.
I like the only thing I know about it is there's a trailer, and I think it's from the studio that Jade Raymond started. I think.
Oh. Okay.
Oh no, I'm thinking of what's the one with the AI voices?
Finals is out. I think.
The Finals did come out. That's right.
That came out.
But also that thing, much like any other new live service game that has failed to make an impression, is already bleeding players and doing really desperate things to try and get its numbers back up. But
what do you think the peak players of Foam Stars will be?
Low.
Low.
1,000.
5,000. I'm gonna say 5,000 just because it's a Square Enix game.
I'm gonna give it peak player count, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, peak player count.
How much is that game coming out for?
I think it's a full price game. I think it's a $60 game.
That's a 60. Hold on a minute.
We gotta Google this one.
There's
no way,
there's no way. There's no way. It can't be possible, right?
It's
Foam
a full price
Stars. It does not have a price on the PlayStation Store right now.
Does anything say? Does anything on the internet?
The only thing I see is Foam Stars will be launching February 6th, which is tomorrow.
Wait, what? Oh no, that game's super dead. Oh shit.
It is a Game Pass. It is a Game Pass launch equivalent. It will launching for free on release as part of PlayStation Plus with anyone with an essential or higher level subscription. Apparently.
Oh well, nobody has those, so yeah. I actually would like to revise mine. 3,000.
3,000. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. I think if the game comes out and you don't have that account, and it's like 20, maybe $30, I'm going to be generous. I think it can hit a low 5 digits. I'm willing to say it's going to be like 10,120.
Sure.
$30 according to PlayStation.com.
$30. I think it can hit 10K concurrent. I don't see it being like. I'm not so, like, I don't know. Maybe it'll do 20K. I don't know. I don't really know what console sales figures looks like, and like we don't have an easy way to track that on PlayStation compared to PC, right?
Right.
That game is not by any metric, however, going to be successful.
No, it's not going to maintain players for sure. People are going to play it for like a weekend for the novelty, and then it's going to immediately start.
It's going to plummet.
Yeah.
The problem is, I would love more people to make Splatoon knockoffs because Splatoon is like a great way to reinterpret the competitive multiplayer shooter that deprioritizes like direct violence, right? But the problem is, if you're gonna come for the king, you best not miss. And you just kind of punched the open air like 15 feet in front of Splatoon.
Yeah, no, that game's super fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like it's just all of this to say that when the Switch 2 comes out, hopefully this year, they'd be insane not to put it out this year.
Please, I'm begging you, Nintendo, please.
When the Switch 2 comes out and says nothing personnel kid to Sony, we're going to see some changes. That's all.
It's just going to completely obliterate like a huge chunk of the market. Like Microsoft is floundering. Sony basically doesn't have a future, right? Like they just don't have a future thanks to Jim Ryan, which is an insane thing to say, but they don't have anything that anybody wants to play on the docket. They have like thousands of fucking like beloved properties that they could easily say like, oh yeah, we're making a new fucking medieval game, right? You know?
It's extremely weird that Sony is like in every single way in terms of game sales, in terms of attachment rate, in terms of console sales, beating Microsoft's ass raw.
Right.
But also in the next 5 years, I feel like Sony is the one of the three that is most likely to just get knocked clean out of the games industry, period.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft has looked at has read the room and gone, the thing that makes sense for us to do is to Sega ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we are not a competitor in the console market. We do not have a path to viability. We're spending too much money on this shit as is. We will spend a lot more if we just pivot to publishing on PC, because that market share is currently huge anyway. And we're already in the PC market. We make them. Yeah. But Sony, like, there's a world where Sony stays attached to PS5, puts out no games, and then Switch 2 comes out and just, like, stops selling units, period.
And, like... Yeah, I don't really know what the future even looks like. It's so weird, right?
It's gonna be bad, though.
Well, not if you own a PC and a Switch, so yeah. I don't really care.
I own a PC and a Switch. It's been pretty good. I have access to basically any game I would want to play. I had a moment recently where I was like, oh man, Helldivers 2 is coming out on PS5 soon, and I did get rid of my PS5, and I was kind of interested in looking at that. I don't know if I'm going to spend money on it, but I was kind of interested. And then I was like, okay, that's coming out same day on Steam, right?
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Okay.
You're telling me this game that they only like ever talked about at Sony things isn't even timed exclusivity?
Nope.
It's gonna be on Steam same day. They're so fucked.
They're fucked, especially because like the PS5 has been selling well, but obviously not well enough, because like pretty much every game, the reason the PS5 has no exclusives, PS5 has no games, is because developers are like, no, I want to make money. Yeah, we're going to put all of our games eventually on PC. Again, Square Enix and the fucking Final Fantasy VII remake sequel, it's like a 3-month time exclusive is tiny. That's nothing. I can wait 3 months.
That is only a threat to like people who are still in high school.
Yeah, like only like the Turbo fans and even a ton of like really big FF7 fans can go like, okay, I can wait. I can wait 3 months for that.
I'll just mute those words on Twitter for 3 months. Not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not hard.
That is a threat exclusively to people who are just like, I've waited. Like, literally, when they announced that they're making Fate Stay Night Remake and it's probably coming out later this year, I went, cool, I can delay my Fate Stay Night read by probably, 10-11 months.
Yeah, it's totally fine. It's so crazy to me, like, the complete destruction of the PlayStation is entirely self-inflicted in a really dumb way. Like, I almost think Sony's self-destruct is more insane than Microsoft's, because Microsoft always been incompetent, right? Like, they've always been bad at this. Like, even back during their heyday of the 360, they were still hemorrhaging money because the fucking 360 was a ticking time bomb. 50% of them failed.
Yeah, right? And then Phil got handed his fucking raw bag, horrible bag of goods from Don Matrick, who had the whole, we designed the Xbox One in the stupidest way possible.
Right.
Your job to clean it up. I'm going to Zynga or whatever.
Bye. Yeah, so Xbox being incompetent is nothing new, right? Like, we're all just used to Xbox fumbling the bag at this point.
Yeah, and it ultimately doesn't matter much for them because Microsoft is so fucking profitable, they can just face
it. $3 trillion company, exactly.
They can just fucking face tank that and go, it doesn't matter, it's an expansion to our brand repertoire and it improves the value of our company, even if it loses money.
Right.
And they're right, it does.
It's what's the fucking, speaking of Bob Iger from when we were talking about Twin Peaks, brand integrity. That's it, right? It's like it's spreading our brand integrity, right? Even though it doesn't make the brand look very good. Who cares? It's still like putting, Xbox in people's minds as like a way to play video games, and that's all that matters. And but Sony, they were so good at even the PS4 was really good. PS4 had a ton of games. It was great.
It's the insidious poison of the horrible trick that Jim Ryan pulled, which is when you go, we have to pivot to this system that every fucking game we make is going to cost half $500 million and take 8 years to develop. It takes $500 million and 8 years before you find out whether that idea was bad or not.
Before you start seeing any returns. And by then, kind of like what happened with Starfield, right? Starfield had the same problem of it took so long to make that by the time it came out, industry trends had already changed severely, right? Cyberpunk had already come out, failed, and reinvented itself and made itself good, right? And
it's
so then Starfield had the extremely unlucky, like generally it was just bad luck to come out after Phantom Liberty. If it had come out before Phantom Liberty, I think it would have done better. And so it's this same idea of these long dev cycles that are just like in the time it takes, because at some point you got to decide what the video game is going to be, and you got to spend 3 to 5 years making it. And by then the game has, like, the industry has already changed in massive ways. And we're seeing that with these fucking, like, way too expensive, super games and live service games. None of it's paying off, but they don't have anything to fall back on because they shut down their entire AA division.
They have to make these wild gambles on all these massive live service games, and none of them are going to go anywhere, but they can't change direction. They can't change course at this point because they
don't have anything else to do.
They can't start up anything new at this point. They have to just put out the 5-year game that they've been working on all this time. It's just this cascade of diminishing returns.
So I will say real quick. So the thing is, I did want to double check. This is how I remembered it. The Phantom Liberty did come out after by like 3 weeks. But the problem is that what happened is, and this is my literal experience, I played Armored Core 6, which is a great space sci-fi game.
Sure.
I rushed it, so I'd finish everything with it in time to do Starfield. I played Starfield and was underwhelmed because Armored Core 6 is cooler. And I'm like, that sucks. It's just a bad RPG experience. It reminds me so much of Cyberpunk. And then the DLC for Cyberpunk comes out, and it's like, man, I wonder how much it reminds me of Cyberpunk. And then I go, oh, fuck, Cyberpunk's good now.
Well, Cyberpunk is really good now.
It turns out that it's the opposite, where Starfield coming out first hindered it because it made everyone go, well, this sucks. I'm going to go look at Cyberpunk now.
Yeah, they extremely benefited from going, take a couple weeks to find out how bad Starfield is and then come play our new, better version of the game.
Yeah. Like,
Cyberpunk is like, you could not live with your failure. Where did that lead you? Back to me.
It's just like, and even that. Oh no, we can't do this because it'll just turn into a Starfield episode. Please,
no, that'll come soon once Oates is back.
Yeah, once Oates is back with the Starfield episode.
I think much like Starfield, we should continue to promise that the Starfield episode will happen and then never do it.
We should put out a Starfield episode that is just 5 minutes of us talking and then 3 hours of silence.
That's right, just like the fucking video game itself, which is nothing. Let's
end this real quick on one final good article.
Oh god, we had one more?
Okay, it'll be quick.
Okay.
Ambitious Fallout 2 fan remake emerges, blinking into the light through Fallout 4's engine.
Oh.
Project Arroyo is in development. That is just we're gonna put Fallout 2 and Fallout 4 engine.
Wow.
Everyone always says they're going to do this, and then they wrote into the really unfortunate reality of none of the people making these overhauls for Bethesda like Skyrim engine shits have access to asset farms.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
If you can't repurpose it from other games in a way that is like legal, you're just fucked.
But they're
make all that shit by hand.
They're trying, and there are a lot of new assets because I know what every single asset in Fallout 4 looks like.
That's correct.
I can tell that a lot of this shit's new. So
yeah, it's saying it's in development is like one thing. If it was like we have here's our if it was like a stealth, basically like, hey, we're 6 months out from a release, right? That would be another. But this is I think this is Cascadia.
But the point in their favor for this one is that it looks like they are trying to keep the tile-based system of Fallout 2.
Oh, that's
so
fun.
Everything is like kind of boxy and squares and like probably a lot easier to actually build the environment that way if they're trying to keep it like flat and grid based.
It would be comparatively extremely easy to just literally do like, this is a map that's one cell. It's like we coded it the same way as an interior space, but it's like it's the exterior, and you literally just have fast travel screens between areas, which is how that shit used to work. And like, I can definitely see that being easier.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm still
with the track record of Fallout 4 big projects of that nature being what it is, I will remain cautiously and not too investedly interested, seeing if you ever hear anything about this again.
None of the big projects are out yet.
Yeah.
Even after all these years. Cascadia isn't out yet. London isn't out yet. Miami isn't out yet. Fallout 3 Remake isn't out yet.
New Vegas Remake isn't out yet.
Nope.
Yeah.
They're all...
Just add this one on the pile, and then
add this one on the pile.
I mean, and this article mentions London is set to release in April, so
I doubt.
We'll see.
We'll see. You know, I'm not holding my breath, but I'll keep looking in your direction every so often.
Sure, absolutely.
Come April, we'll see A, if London comes out, B, what comes out exactly.
Like how functional, because I remember Fallout New Vegas, The Frontier came out, and everybody was very excited for that one, and it was hot garbage.
Was that the one with the extremely fetish-written underage character that you would use in it, or is that a different one?
I think that
that was a different thing. No,
was that New California? Because that also finally came out and was also a huge clusterfuck.
I don't know.
Frontier and New California, they both
the important thing is that it is a tragedy of that project and that specific thing that has set the tone for me for what I expect for all projects like this going forward.
That's right. So we'll see. We'll see what state Fallout London actually releases in. I hope that one's good. I think it's compelling.
I actually thought about it. There's exactly one of these that came out and was what it was designed to be, whether or not that was particularly good, because it did have just some of the worst voice acting you've ever heard in it. But the Point Look fucking...
Oh yeah, the Point Lookout remake.
Yeah, because that one they went, hey, we can just reuse a lot of Far Harbor shit in this one, and it's fine, and they did that, and it came out, and it had all that thing's content in it, and it was only as broken as I remember Point Look being originally.
Yeah, and you know what? That's about the scale that I expect, because Point Lookout's pretty small. It's a pretty good little piece of Fallout DLC, but it's also relatively small in the grand scheme of things. So that's a manageable thing to remake.
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping that I mean, Cascadia is never coming out, but I'm hoping London is good. Someday maybe we'll see more of that New Vegas remake.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope Arroyo is something.
We'll see.
We'll see.
All these projects need to have someone who's I'm the guy who started the project. I have a plan with a schedule, a list of things that need to be done specifically. Yeah. I will assign people responsibilities, set a standard for what the level people should be contributing if they're involved in the project. If you're doing, this is a fan project with no money, only fan effort, you do at least have to have a managerial voice going, no, this is what's going to happen. And it's not a matter of whether it's fair or not. It's a matter of someone needs to make sure this thing actually gets made.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about, not to keep dragging this out longer, but we're here. Why not? I don't know what it is about Fallout total conversion mods in general. They're so cursed because
it's the appeal. It's just
Skyrim has so many, and they came out, and some of them are really good.
Fallout 4 is a much bigger game than Skyrim.
Yeah,
and the thing is, everyone wants to be the one that puts New Vegas in Fallout 4. And there's just way more than they actually think, and it's just ambition versus actual ability and resources.
I would have to see the comparison of Skyrim's map to Fallout 4. It's not to doubt you, but
I don't just mean scale wise. I mean just there's more mechanics in Fallout 4 than there are in Skyrim. There's more things you have to contend with. The whole settlement building, the whole
the settlement building's a big one, I guess. Yeah, on a raw exploration combat thing, I don't think really, but once you start getting into the actual having to do the settlement stuff, actually.
Because otherwise, I mean, Skyrim has things that Fallout doesn't. You've got fucking vehicles in the form of horses and stuff like that, and
you've got magic.
You've got magic, which is basically just guns. And so I think they're pretty comparable, and that's kind of why I'm I think the settlement building is probably the big bugaboo.
Yeah, there's probably I'm sure there's just a lot more going on under the hood in Fallout 4 than there is in Skyrim.
Oh yeah, because Skyrim's an Xbox 360 game.
and then you just don't see happening.
But it's just so sad because like Skyrim has, I know Skyrim's been out for longer, significant long, but like Skyrim came out in 2011. That's right, because I was still living in Florida. Skyrim came out in 2011, and so in the 13 years since it, 12 and a half, because it came out at the end of 2011. So in the 12 and a half years that it's been out, it has like a lot of total conversion mods. It has enough that you can do like a top 10 total conversion mods, like best total conversion mods list on like your fucking Google search. Yeah, right?
and the thing is, I've done a couple of modded Skyrim playthroughs over the years. Every single time, completely different mod list. Because some of that shit just stops working, and then people make completely new things, and it's like you can't even do the same mods you did the first time, right? Mm-hmm. But some of those total conversion mods, some of those gameplay overhaul mods, are immaculate.
They're really good. Yeah.
I wish, for me, Fallout 4 has gotten one overhaul of that scale, period, and it's Horizon, because Horizon's the only other overhaul. It's like, yeah, we changed literally everything. Don't use other mods, please.
Right.
Skyrim has, fucking a dozen of those, at least, and, some of them are just, there's one that adds, fucking Zelda camera targeting and shit like that, and, directional melee control, and it's super sick, and it's like, how'd you do this?
I really think it is just that it's like trying to work on a PS2 game versus a PS3 game. It's going to be a lot easier to mod and overhaul one of these because it's just a whole console generation shift over. I'm not surprised. And also, Skyrim's been out a lot longer.
It really is not a lot longer.
Yeah, I was going to say, the problem is at this point, it is a minority, sliver longer.
The difference between Skyrim's release and Fallout 4's release is shorter than the time between Fallout 4's release and right now.
Well, yeah, but when that stuff was really coming out, there was a much larger gap. But yeah, I think it's just eyes are too big for your stomach when it comes to Fallout 4 conversions.
I was like, let me put it like this: Fallout 4 modding right now, 8.5 years past release or whatever, because that game came out 4 years after Skyrim, right?
Yep.
Fallout 4, 8.5 years on. Its modding is not at the level of technical complexity, even remotely, that Skyrim's was 8.5 years
ago. And I think part of it, since we're here, part of it is just that so many people are very interested in unfucking Fallout 4's bones, right? Its actual base story. Because a lot of the big mods, Sim Settlements 2, the big Enclave overhaul that just came out that is apparently really good. It just adds an entire Enclave storyline that apparently is very good.
I'll take one of those being actually good.
Sure. And I heard that's good. The Fens Sheriff's Department, so the sequel to Left Field Diner or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
The Bleachers, that's what it's called. The sequel to The Bleachers. That also adds additional plot elements and stuff. I think part of it is that just a ton of people are very interested in just fixing Fallout 4.
I think that is also it's a thing of motivation of just they would rather fix what's there than expand on what's there.
Sure.
There's no incentive. There's not really the incentive or the desire to rework the game or add a significant amount of stuff when you can instead make the game run properly. And Skyrim did not have as much of that problem.
Sim Settlements 2 finished recently, and
oh wow, did it?
Actually, yeah, and it's finished. You can do a full Sim Settlements 2 replay, playthrough of do the whole storyline through that instead. I'm really tempted to give that a shot again now that it's had some time to do some fixing and stuff. I'm
able to chase off the urge to start another Fallout 4 playthrough so far because I have too many JRPGs coming out, and
that's right.
When I'm done clawing my way out of those, the Persona 4 urge is stronger than the Fallout 4 urge right now.
Yeah.
The thing, this is the thing that makes me and it's again, not to keep comparing them, but the thing that I like about the Skyrim modding is that and this is the thing that happened, I want to say maybe within 5 years of Skyrim releasing, and this is my favorite interaction of little stupid mods that don't matter, right? Mm-hmm. There was someone who made a mod that's just yeah, I added some big cool bearskin cloaks. Aren't they cool? I add them to level lists and characters will wear them. There's someone else who made a mod that's oh hey, this is a hypothermia mod. So places have ambient temperature and you have to like take care of yourselves, and like there's
that's fun.
cool like frost effects. And then someone then looked at those and like, I made a script extender mod that makes it so that when it's cold out, people put their cloaks on.
That's fun.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
That's so good. I love
It's like
that.
It's like I love that shit, and I feel like we never got any of that in Fallout 4, just because it's not the kind of thing Fallout 4 modders are interested in. I think
Yeah.
they're
really
just
sad.
big titty mods. Yeah,
They are.
exactly.
Yeah, Fallout 4 is
And
definitely
putting
more interested
realistic
in.
AK-47s.
Yeah, they're more interested in a bunch of disparate parts that you staple onto the core game, rather than
Right.
making them all like fit together and kind of play off of each other.
Yeah, I think for
And
me
you
that's
get,
why
you get some of that, because like there are some
You do.
mods that like Start Me Up plays well with the Nora mod
Mhm.
that just adds your wife back into the game as a companion. Like there are caveats for making sure those interact correctly. So like there's bits of it, but not enough.
Right.
I think that's why, like, for me, like, I think I've beaten the Fallout reinstall urge, but for me,
Sure.
it's still, like, I do occasionally get the itch of, like, I need to do another modded Skyrim playthrough. And I have to convince myself not to, because it would be a tremendous waste of time compared to all the other things I still have to play, but I still
correct.
get that itch.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
there's so much, like, weird things people put in there. It's like, we turned it into, like, a weirdly simmy, like, RPG. And I'm like, I like that.
I modded Skyrim playthrough. I only ever played it on my Xbox.
If you ever have the itch to play Skyrim again,
Uh-huh.
modded Skyrim playthrough is such a fucking crazy animal.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, you can turn that into like a very simmy game with completely different combat than is in Skyrim normally.
That sounds fun. Yeah, I might do that at some point, like later this year when the release schedule is so fucking dead.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Anyways,
We
that
gotta
was the
stop.
Fallout 4 hour.
We gotta stop.
Yeah, we had to stop.
I had to not talk about the things I did this week, so I'd have time to fucking just ramble incessantly about literally everything else.
That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you to Visitor for using our background music. You can follow us on our social media accounts. You can email us at thegorgepodcast@gmail.com. Join our Discord and have fun talking to us more about all this crap on Discord.
Where we all sit and pray for the end of Xbox as a console.
Yeah.
Inshallah, the Xbox will be destroyed.
That's correct.
And yeah, that'll do it for us.
Fuck Neil Druckmann.
Yeah,
I hate his
fuck.
ass so much.
Fuck Ken Levine.
Fuck Ken
I'm-
Levine, you fucking hack!
I keep thinking all the time about how it's fucking how Neil Druckmann, how Naughty Dog is fucking spinning their wheels doing The Last of Us 3 and an Uncharted remake, and they the last 5 things they've output is Last of Us content, and Insomniac is getting fucking Wolverine.
Yeah.
I feel like it needs to be said, actually, before we leave it off, also, fuck David Cage. He hasn't done anything lately, but I need him to stay humble.
Yeah.
That's right. I don't want him to get a big fucking ego. That Star Wars game of his is never coming out, though, so that'll humble him a little bit.
All right.
Good night,
Good night, everyone.
Good night.